It is 10 o'clock on this beautiful Thursday. I don't know if it's beautiful, but hey, we're here for the next 4 hours. Welcome into Three-Man Front. Pat, Molly, Conrad, Landrum. Got a great show on tap for you. We try to do this every day for you, but today, Skip Holtz, head coach of the world champion Birmingham Stallions. He will be in studio.
Back to back, Pat.
Yeah. He had a meeting with me and Landrum about 45 minutes ago going over some potential quarterbacks that the Stallions are looking at this year. So,
got plenty of horses in the stable.
Yes, absolutely. Rodney Orr, Tyner Insider, Rob Pate, Brett Norsworthy, a special Thursday edition of Bet It or Forget It. Second Friday in a row, Molly is jet setting.
Yep.
Last week, she jet setted down to the Gulf Coast, and now she's going to go out west to Cali.
Going to Cali.
She's going to Cali.
So excited.
What will you wear to the game?
Jersey, Nebraska jersey, and some jeans probably. Because it's actually going to be pretty chilly, like for California.
What else is on the itinerary for Cali?
We might go to Disneyland as well. And last night, my parents went to the Lakers game. And my dad was sending me and my brother a ton of pictures of LeBron and Bronny.
Y'all got dinner reservations at Spago?
I don't think so.
Oh, that was the Brown Derby. Are you going to Spago or Brown Derby?
I'll have to check.
They're going to Nobu. Come on, guys.
You going to do the Hollywood Walk of Stars or whatever?
No, I've done that
Walk
before.
of Fame?
What? What is it?
I don't know.
The Star Walk. I know what you're talking about.
It's the one with the stars.
Yeah, by the theater.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was just essentially all of Los Angeles. I thought the whole ground was stars. I could be wrong, though.
So Bronny is just playing home games, right? Isn't that what I read?
Oh, no. He's only playing home games for the G League team.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And he is not traveling with them, so he can stay with his daddy in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah, that whole thing doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You drafted a kid so you could put him on the court with his dad for 3 minutes and then get rid of him?
And tell them you're going to go play G League,
Okay.
but only home games.
Was that their most
G-League.
attended game all season? It might have paid off.
Maybe so. Some tells me they don't struggle with attendance, but
Nah.
I think
They've
they're
really
fine.
never had that problem, have they?
No, I think they're fine.
So I had a dilemma last night. So we had a triple header in Maction.
Mhm.
Do I watch Kent State football or do I watch Kent State basketball?
Ooh.
I ended up watching both, and both are pretty bad.
Kent State basketball is better
They're
than
better
Kent
than
State
football. Well, yes, that is true.
That is also not a very high bar, but yes.
Yeah, very much so. I was more disappointed that Kent State football did not do what they were supposed to do last night. That's what I was more irritated about, which was just do as you've done throughout your entire season and not cover.
They were 17-17 in basketball last year, 8-10 in MAC play. And then the year before, they finished 28-7 and lost in the NCAA tournament in the first round.
I do remember that. Well, last night, the basketball team went down to Auburn, and the Auburn Tigers moved to 3-0 on the season. Big win last night, 79-56.
Auburn played with their food for a little bit.
They did. Kind of went through a little lull in kind of the middle portion of the game. But when you jump out to a 30-8 lead,
Yeah.
that's pretty much you can work on things
You can.
once you get out to a 30-8 lead.
Yeah, Janai Broom, he continues to be a problem.
18 points, 12 rebounds, double-double.
Yep.
How about Chaney Johnson?
Chaney Johnson, man, that guy. You want to talk about the
pride of the Chargers.
A nominee, early nominee for Sixth Man of the Year in the SEC. It's going to be Chaney Johnson. That kid, he plays with a lot of heart, and I heard him talk about on the broadcast last night that Bruce Pearl encouraged him in the offseason. He said, you got to be more aggressive. Woo, he's doing it early.
Yeah, from Alabaster, played a couple years up at Huntsville for the Chargers, UAH, and then came down to Auburn. So he's getting an opportunity, and he is making the most of it with 18 points. Auburn's three-point shooting, though, second game in a row, kind of an issue. Think he'll be sorted out by the time they get to SEC play, because against Houston, the Tigers were 7 of 23 from behind the arc. Last night, they were 6 of 24 from behind the arc. But when you've got guys like Janai Broom and Chaney Johnson doing what they're doing, that's really not that important right now.
It's kind of crazy because against Vermont, they knocked down 16 from behind the arc. And you're not going to get that every night, but to your point, you'd like to be a little bit more consistent. If you're going to fire a bunch up, at least knock down, 9, 10 a night?
Yeah, I mean, that would be nice. But you also have to feel good if you're Auburn that you've now had, I mean, the Vermont game, I mean, Miles Kelly was a big part of that because he was absolutely on fire from 3. But, you've now had 3 games where you had Miles Kelly in the first game, you had Pettiford against Houston, now you had Chaney Johnson last night. You're finding different guys to be key contributors 3 games in a row, and that says a lot about your depth.
And not even to mention the guy who was your best 3-point shooter. I have to go back and look at it statistically, but Denver Jones. So they have the capability.
Yeah.
And they have more good shooters on this year's roster than they did last year.
Well, one thing's for sure. We will certainly be nitpicking the 4 teams that we talk about when it comes to basketball because we have absolutely hey, heck yeah. We're raising the bar so high for Samford, UAB, Auburn, and Alabama because all 4 are expected to have tremendous years. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to absolutely be taking a fine-tooth comb to these teams. So, get your 3-point shooting fixed, Bruce. We want to go to the Final Four.
Yeah, well, we're That's my Bruce.
You're not sweating enough.
He's trimmed up, man.
Yeah,
he's trimmed up.
He's not sweating as much because he's not wearing that stupid coat and tie.
That is true.
Which was the best thing that ever came out of COVID.
Does it not look like he slimmed up?
Yeah.
He's gotten in better shape.
Just all these coaches now going to quarter zips that you can get at 18 South, by the way.
Yeah, looks great. Thank you.
Yeah, look at him on YouTube. Looks fantastic.
Hey,
what I'm wearing came from 18 South.
Yeah. Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, mine didn't. Sorry.
Mine didn't either.
Well, it's not like y'all don't have options.
Would it be team?
Hey, I wore it
guys.
yesterday. So
Yeah, you did.
Sorry.
And we're glad that you're washing clothes. Let's keep it
well,
real.
that's a new thing for me. So, yeah.
Love you, buddy.
All right, so a little bit of news coming out of Rocky Top last night. So it appears, and we have been given no indication. I mean, Gentry Estes joined the show yesterday from the Tennessean and pretty much kind of gave us the indication that thinks that Nico is going to be okay to play. So last night during Josh Heupel's radio show, he says Nico has had a good start to the week, and we will continue to monitor him as we get closer to the game. If you pulled up the availability reports last night, he is listed as questionable. I think he's going to play.
I do too.
This is one of the biggest games that Tennessee has played in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Their college football playoff life, along with Georgia's, potentially hanging in the balance. So, Nico, I anticipate he's going to be out there playing unless something happens here in the next.
The question is, do we get a lackluster offense that we saw on the road
for every first half since Arkansas?
On the road in Fayetteville, the lackluster offensive performance that we got in Norman, Oklahoma? Or do we get Tennessee putting up a big number? I'm going to side with the former and say that Tennessee has a tough time offensively Saturday.
Yeah, well, and another part of the injury report is Dante Thornton is listed as questionable, and that's kind of their take the top off guy, which granted, Nico hasn't been the most accurate on those throws, but those are the kinds of plays that have been there for Tennessee and that you're going to need to hit if you want to beat Georgia, but it's going to be tough. I don't know if Georgia's going to, if it's going to be a repeat of Alabama where you could get shut out in the first half, but Alabama only scored 7 on you. I think other teams are going to be able to capitalize on some of those mistakes.
10.5 is a big number, though.
I also think that leads to Nico playing because if he wasn't playing, I feel like that number would have
been
a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Maybe at least a field goal bigger.
Yeah, I think you'd be getting into 2-touchdown territory if Nico was confirmed to not play.
Well, we do have college football tonight in the American Athletic Conference. East Carolina will be taking on Tulsa. That's a 6:30 kickoff. And, man, this is a really good game on Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. You've got the Commanders 7-3 in Philadelphia taking on the Eagles. The Eagles are a 4-point favorite at home against the Commanders tonight. You heard Brian Edwards on the show yesterday. He loves the Commanders from Vegas Insider. The Commanders 7-3, the Eagles 7-2. So it seems like the Eagles have kind of righted the ship a little bit. A lot of people started to boo birds, throwing batteries and doing the stuff that Philly fans typically do. but this football team has continued to win over the course of the last couple of weeks. I think anybody that goes to Dallas and gets right, any team can do that, right?
Yeah.
These days. So,
Yeah.
So that helped out tremendously. But that's a good game tonight.
Should be a very good game. The only concern I would have is the Commanders have not played great against the better teams on their schedule. Those are the teams that they have lost to. They are very good at beating the average to below 500 teams. But this would be a big opportunity for Jaden Daniels as a rookie year to put them in first place in the NFC East, which is honestly the fact that the Commanders are where they are right now is
It's incredible.
absolutely remarkable.
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
They're a lot better since Dan Snyder got out of there.
Yeah, funny how that works, isn't it?
You know, and Ron Rivera, I think he's just a tremendous coach. And because of the old ownership and everything else that went on, I mean, they had to make the change at the head coaching position. I just hate that he didn't have an opportunity to see the franchise work out the way that it's trending right now, because he's a good dude.
Yeah, and he's a very good coach, but Dan Quinn's done a great job. And I mean, as far as assistant coaching goes in the NFL, I think Cliff Kingsbury is written in pen right now to be the offensive coach of the year, or the assistant coach of the year. He's done phenomenal with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. So that game is tonight as we get ready for some NFL and some college football tonight.
Well, if you need a place to watch the games tonight, get on into Twin Peaks there in Hoover. Order yourself a nice 29-degree man-sized draft. They're going to have plenty of TVs for you to catch all of the action there. Check out some of their new menu additions, the new wing sauces, the barbecue brisket flatbreads, the quesabria tacos, all of those wonderful options available for you, as well as their cocktail menu and craft beer options. When you go visit and watch the games at Twin Peaks in Hoover, they also sponsor our daily three-man front Twitter poll question of the day. And Pat, what is our question on this Thursday?
Georgia's loss at Ole Miss ramps up the leverage in this week's game versus Tennessee. The winner will be a near lock for the CFP, while the loser will be close to a coin flip. So the question is simple. Who wins in Athens? Vols or Dogs? And right now, 82% of the audience.
It's so much Tennessee hate.
82% said the Dogs. Now, and we didn't ask to cover the spread.
Right, just to win.
We just said just straight up win, and 82% of our audience says it will be the Dogs.
Well, I agree with that. I do think that there's a little bit of bias with our listeners built in.
Yeah, but it's also interesting because I understand, you know, if you're an Alabama fan, you're like, well, you want Tennessee to lose, maybe you can jump them in the rankings, but I feel like getting Georgia kind of out of the way. I know they'd still technically be in the mix, but just kind of moving them out of the party, I think that might benefit you more potentially. But
yeah, well, one thing's for sure, that this game has got so many more implications, whether it's SEC championship game, the bigger picture, you know, college football playoff. There is so much at stake for that game. So it's going to be
Kirby's job's on the line.
I don't know about that.
okay,
one more loss, he's going to the NFL.
Laugh at this question if you want.
Kidding.
Seriously, if Georgia wins, do they storm the field in Athens?
No.
Oh,
No, they do not.
You had to think about it, though.
Nope.
I don't think they do either, but
They haven't been in the desert that long, Conrad.
no, I know, but I'm just saying, like, it would be a.
If Birmingham
for
Dog
them.
is listening now, or Dave and Hoover, big Georgia fans that call the show, I would love to know, because I can't recall off the top of my head when they stormed the field in Athens.
Yeah, I can't think of the last time they did that.
So I don't even know if they ever have, to be
Last time they
completely
stormed the
honest.
field was at Jordan Hare in the 80s.
Maybe.
The fire hose.
Yeah, no, I remember. But as far as Athens, I
don't know.
I don't recall them ever doing that. So if someone knows that,
Those
Last
those
time they did
hedges
it in
are thick.
Tuscaloosa. Do you know? Because I don't know. Last time you went to
I will
storm the
tell
field
you,
there?
since I've been covering Alabama since 1993, that's never happened.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Maybe fans trying to go after Curry.
And I can't. I know that there's been some at Legion Field, I recall, but
After Van Tiffen, the fans run on the field after the kick.
and then maybe well, I know Tennessee fans came on the field because they got arrested at Legion Field. So, yeah, whether your family rolls or yells Roll Tide or War Eagle, there's only one place to shop, and that's Bama Fever Tiger Pride. They have a fresh stock of sweatshirts, jackets, quarter zips, and vests, as well as your everyday items like T-shirts, hats, polos, tailgate gear, and honestly, so much inventory right now They are just absolutely just the wobbling of the shelves as we speak. So much inventory. Bama Fever Tiger Pride invites you to shop any of their 9 locations across the state, and they thank you for over 40 years of support. Is the coach here? Is he ready?
Can you not tell? It's just a different feeling.
It's just excitement.
No, it's greatness.
It's nice to have champions walking around in our presence.
Yeah, we're not around a whole lot of winners.
No.
We're about to be, though.
He's going to class up the joint. All right, Coach Skip Holtz joins us next here on Three Man Front. It is 10:19, Jocks 94.5. In just a moment, Skip Holtz, the 3-time world champion, head coach of the Birmingham Stallions, will join us here in studio as we're excited as we're just a couple months away from obviously getting this thing kicked off again.
Well, as we move on through the football season and the weather cools down, make sure that your HVAC system is ready for the cold weather that's on the way. For long-term reliability, a Train Home Comfort System is your answer. And to give you peace of mind right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor with select Train Comfort Systems. Just visit them online at train.com.
Happy football season, Coach. How are you?
Oh, we back? Hey,
Yeah,
hey, I'm fantastic. Kidding me? You know, I like the ring it had to 3-time world champion.
You like that?
I mean, you know, here's what I've realized. Losing doesn't stink. I mean, winning doesn't stink.
No.
Losing stinks.
Losing is
winning
terrible.
doesn't stink.
Now, first
That's what I've
off,
learned.
I noticed that you did not bring a tape measure in here with you because Landrum and I need to be fitted for our
Oh
ring.
yeah, that's right. That's right. That's some of the business we were talking about yesterday. We need to clean up.
We're
going
to need to get that done.
I mean,
we're definitely going to need to get that. We're definitely going to need to get
As
that
far as
done.
local franchises, we got Coach Holtz and the Stallions on the clock for the World Championship ring, and also the Barons.
Yeah, because Landrum and I did some
How about
Barons
the Barons?
games.
Good for them.
We did some Barons
That
games,
was
so
awesome.
we need a ring.
Yeah,
so see,
that was awesome for them to do it.
We don't ask for much, Coach.
No,
Yeah,
that's
just-
okay. I tell you what, though, the last 2 rings have been pretty. They're so big now. You can't even wear them. I mean, you can't.
I was
even
going to
put
say,
it
what do you
on.
do with them?
I mean,
You
they're paperweights. You know what I mean? They're so big now.
I bet your dad's got some good jewelry.
You know what? Back in the day, like I've got a Notre Dame national championship ring. I mean, it looks almost like a wedding ring. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now you look at
They're so
them,
gaudy now, and
and it
big
goes
and-
from knuckle to knuckle now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, what is that ring? Wow, that looks huge. Oh, that's the Bluebonnet Bowl ring. You know, I mean, it's like some bowl game.
We had a high school state championship ring, and this was back in 1995. And back then, we thought it was huge.
Yeah.
And now you look at them, and it does. It looks like a little class ring.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, so it was nice to get a couple of those and enjoying this off season a little bit. You know, Helene and Milton kind of ruined some of my downtime plans. We're putting the house back together that we have down in Florida.
How is everything down there? Because I know you were supposed to join us a couple weeks ago, and then that
Still
hit.
a mess.
So
Still a mess. Having to, you don't realize it. I mean, we had 4 foot of water in the house. I mean, so everything, it is like a war zone. Everything's on the curb. Everything's out from couches, fridges, washers, dryers, every appliance in your house. But here's the whole house has to be rewired. It's salt water. They got in all the outlets. They got
Corrodes
in everything. Corrodes everything. So that's all got to be. I mean, you got to strip it down to the bones and then start putting it back together. So I've always said that, a hurricane comes by and everybody turns the Weather Channel on for 48 hours. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's devastating. Click. Okay, where are we going to eat? Okay, where are we going? You know what I mean? They just go about living their lives. But there's people in North Carolina still don't have power. I mean, it's like.
Is it easier to rebuild a home or a roster?
It's easier to rebuild a home.
Okay.
Because in rebuilding a roster, there's personalities that go into that. You've got to gel a team together. And we had this long conversation with us about it last night. It's like, we've been very fortunate. We've had some great players. We've had some great coaches. But really the chemistry is one of the big reasons that we've been able to have success. And you've got people want to look at a team and go, wow, he's 6'10", he runs 4'1", he vertical jumps 48 inches. He, all these physical skills, which are needed. Don't get me wrong. I've never seen a donkey get in the gates at the Derby. You know what I mean? I've never seen a mule get in the gates and go, yeah, but he tries really hard. But he's a try-hard guy.
Yeah.
You still got to have the talent. But just because you have the talent doesn't mean you're going to win, because now how are you going to come together in adversity? How are you going to come together when you lose a game? How are you going to come together when you're down 10 points with 4 minutes to go? How are you going to how are you going to handle the situation when you don't get all the carries, when you don't get all the catches, when it's not about you, and are you willing to play that unselfish team role? So I think those things are immeasurable. I can measure and get an electrician to come in and redo all my outlets. I can get somebody to come in and put my drywall together. And you know what? I say this, we are so blessed. We lost a house, but you know what? We have our health. Nobody in our family was injured.
Amen.
If I was coming off my 5th cancer treatment, you think I'd really care about that house right now and having water in it?
That's right.
You know what? You got your health. You got your family. If it can be replaced, you really don't have a problem. You fix it. And so we are truly blessed, because there's a lot of people that came out of this that maybe lost a loved one, that lost a family member. You go up into the Carolinas and people are still missing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They found 100 people in one river. I mean, it's just crazy. They would love to just have to rebuild.
All right, Coach, let's go back. I want to hear this timeline because it's got to be interesting. So you walk off the field in St. Louis as champions.
That was pretty good feeling, by the way.
So take us through the timeline for you personally in regards to some decisions that you obviously had to make yourself from a professional standpoint. And then once that decision is made, how quickly do you start thinking about what you need to do to start putting this roster together?
We've been putting this roster together for a while. I mean, so we walk out in June, and the first thought is rearview mirror, kind of beaches, lake, whatever it is. I got to get away. I need to get my feet on the ground. I need to get some sleep. I need to sleep in. I need to go work out. I need to take a nap. I need to, I just got to get my feet on the ground. That's the first thought when I come out of a season. Coming out, that takes you probably, honestly, about a week. And then you're like, okay, what's next? What's next? And then you start.
But I know you had options.
No, we have. We've had some options, and we've had some options the last 3 years. And I've said this before. When Louisiana Tech fired me for the 1 year we didn't go to a bowl game, when they fired me for that, I walked out after. You're talking about a program that's never been to back-to-back bowls. Never. And we went to 7 in a row. And then you don't go 1 year and you get fired. And you know what? We built an expectation there that wasn't sustainable, obviously, that they want to go every year. When I left with such a, this is so wrong. You know what I mean? That you've put 10 years of your life into building this program. And one bad year, we lost our starting quarterback, a lot of situations, and you're out. I said, you know what? I want to be challenged and excited about waking up in the morning and going to work. And that's why when the USFL first called, it was like, I love it. It's pro ball. It's something new. I want to get into it. I was so excited. You don't need an alarm clock. You get up in the morning, feet hit the ground. It's like, hey, let's go do this. What do we do? How do you put a team together? We don't have a player on our roster. We got to draft them all. How do you find them all? How do you put your staff together? And you wake up and you got so much adrenaline, and I am an adrenaline junkie. I want to be alive with what I'm doing. I don't want to go through the motions. So that's been my standard kind of. I just want to be excited about what I'm doing. And when we won one, the challenge was more exciting to me to say, can we win 2 than some of those other options that were out there? And then it was, you know what? Nobody's three-peated. Can you win 3? And it only gets harder. I think it's a lot harder to sustain than it is to build. I think when you're trying to build, you're on the bottom and you're trying to climb, and you've got a hunger and you've got a goal and you're driven. When you win, it's easy to get soft. When you win, it's easy for everybody to pat themselves on the back. And one of the lessons I've learned, you can't ever sustain. We've won 3. We got to go higher. We got to get better. I mean, we got to get better if we're going to try and win a 4th, because we got a bullseye on our back now, and everybody's circling Birmingham. That's the game. That's the one we got to play. That excites me enough that some of these other challenges don't excite me as much as that. When I find something that really is going to excite me, that's what I want to do, because in this business, I can't control and say, I want to be the head coach of this place. Because you don't always control that. What if that coach is there the next 15 years? What if they're winning? What if that job doesn't open? So I've just looked at it that way. I've had some college opportunities in the last 3 years. I don't know, about 12 schools have called. Would I have an interest? And they just haven't. I like what I'm doing. I love Birmingham. I continue to say that. We drove in here yesterday, had my wife in with me from the car. We drove in from Atlanta, and we pulled in. She goes, you know what? I feel like we're pulling into home. I mean, we've lived here for the last 2 years, the last 3 years. We live downtown, and we've just really embraced the restaurant scene, the community, the people in town, and we've loved it. And so right now, I'm happy what I'm doing. I like what I'm doing. Who knows what the future holds, but we'll see. But right now, I'm excited about coming back.
All right, without you getting personnel specific,
okay,
for the fans that are listening, if I asked you a percentage of returning players that you would expect to be back on this year's roster, can you give us just maybe a range? It could be a loose range.
Yeah, I would say that we're going to have a good nucleus come back. I mean, the one thing that we have done, we've lost players to the NFL. We lost Alex Magoo a year ago. We lost Adrian Martinez this year. We'd love to have some of them back. but with about 19 guys in a camp, but they didn't all make it. So if they don't make it, the majority of them are coming back. And so I would imagine that I would say out of a 50-man roster, we're going to bring 64 to camp this year, it looks like. But I would think that out of the 64, out of the 50 from last year, I would say very conservative. I would say 40 will be back into camp. Now, are they going to come out of camp? I don't know, because when you look at the way this league is growing, the talent interested in coming into this league is getting better and better. And we got to keep getting better. I thought we can't stay status quo. And just because a guy was there last year doesn't mean it's like, all right, you're in, check, you're back, you're back. You still got to earn it with the new faces that are going to be there.
We'll continue our visit with Birmingham Stallions head coach, back-to-back world champion head coach, Coach Skip Holtz, as we continue three-man front and Jocks 94.5.
It is 10:34, Jocks 94.5. So pleased to welcome into studio the three-time world champion, head coach of the Birmingham Stallions, Skip Holtz, joining us as we're just a couple months away. And Coach, we're talking about the roster architecture, what goes on and goes into this. So take us over the course of the next few weeks and how you guys get prepared to get ready to go to camp.
Well, right now we probably have, about 40 players that have re-signed right now that, now you could lose any one of them tomorrow. Like Kevin Austin, he just got his opportunity, had a nice day. The wide receiver we had last year from Notre Dame had some success in the NFL. He's probably not coming back now. Now we got to find another receiver. So you start putting all this together. There's probably about 40, 45 on the roster right now. We're going to be able to carry 64 to camp this year is what the magic number, I believe, is. And then we're going to have to cut down to 50. And so we still have about 20, a lot of free agents. Things are going to be going on in the next couple weeks. And then it's going to come down to when these players start signing these futures contracts in the NFL. Who's the guy left out? You know what I mean? Who's the guy that's on a roster now that when the NFL starts to make their decisions, because there could be 2 injuries and we could lose a guy on our roster tomorrow. So there's going to be some addition and subtraction, some give and take as we go through here the next probably 2 months. And then when we get into January, that's when some hard decisions are going to really have to be made, because there's going to be some players that are going to be available that's like, Coach, this guy's started 4 games in the NFL. This guy, and he's available because he just got released because they wanted that young guy. And so he's still hungry and wants to play. So who do you let go to bring him in? So there's going to be a lot of jockeying and some hard decisions that are going to have to be made here in the next couple of months. But then we're going to go to camp in February. We're going to go to as coaches and players, and then we'll start late March. We'll start playing this 2025 season.
Now I know last year you guys, the hub was in Arlington, and is that going to be the same this year?
It will, yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
I think it's probably about a 3-year deal.
Okay.
This way, where we went in the USFL, we did a year of an 8-team hub. Then we went to 4 hubs, year 2. Then we came back into the merger, which put the hub, and I think the model for the UFL right now, they're going to stick with the same hub because it creates some stability with all 8 teams. All the medicals together, all the medias together. It is a financial decision that makes it more manageable to be able to pull this off. Everybody wants to be in their home market. Everybody wants to get in their home market. And I think everybody is excited about the day the Birmingham Stallions are housed right here in Birmingham and we're having the opportunity to play. But I think you're going to see it go from 8 teams to 10 teams. I think you're going to see it start to enlarge, and I think it's going to go even more when they start selling to put these teams into their individual markets. So I think it's going to be, again, I keep saying this, I love it. I love working with these players. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, but right now it's what we have to do to hub in Arlington. But I'd much rather be in Birmingham.
Me and Pat have loved working with your quarterbacks, and that's something that you've been very, very gracious.
You guys have done an unbelievable job of what you've done with the 2 MVPs. I can't really. And like
it takes a village, right?
Well, and I've always said it. If you see a turtle on top of a fence post, he didn't get there alone. So right now, for sure, I can't thank y'all enough for the job that y'all have done, both with what you did with Alex a year ago. I didn't think you could duplicate, but what you've done with Adrian.
Well, you kind of threw us a curveball because having to deal with Adrian and Matt.
Yeah, I know.
But
that's why there's 2 of you.
Well, no, he took Matt, and then I took Adrian, it worked out okay. So.
But I'm glad we had Matt when he came in the championship game in the second half. When
we followed the draft. So, what can you give us an idea of what our quarterback room is going to look like in camp?
No, it could have a lot of different pictures right now. Right now, I think Jamar is the only one right now that has signed, but you still have a lot out there. Alex Magoo is back on the free agency market because he had a hamstring and was released by Green Bay. What's going to be the future of Adrian Martinez with the Jets? We don't know yet. So we're kind of sitting to see how some of these pieces are going to fall. But then there's some really good free agents that are out there right now that we are looking at, that really excited about.
There's been a lot of great stories of UFL players, and all of a sudden it's becoming a pipeline for great kickers.
Agreed. Well, you look at what Bates has done and what obviously Brandon is doing with Dallas. I mean, 2 of the best kickers in the league right now, both are coming out of the UFL, and neither one played college football.
Who was the guy that we brought out of just civilian work last year? Who was it?
The Brandon Aubrey, the kicker?
No, I'm talking. Was it one game in particular? We had to have somebody, right?
Kicker.
Yes.
Oh, yes. No, we had yes.
I don't think I can pronounce it.
Well, we ended up with an injury. We
Yes.
ended up with an injury to our kicker, and so we had to bring in another one. And that's we've got an ongoing board. We got a war room, so to speak. But ours is not just for a draft room. Ours is for an injury because your rosters aren't big enough. And so as soon as you lose one, or somebody goes into free agent, you got to go get another one. Well, you can't go, okay, who do we go to? So that is an ongoing thing that we meet about during the season all the time. Who's the next tackle? It's like either him or him. Okay, who would be the next guard? It's either him or him. Who would be the next DB? One of these three. I mean, and so it's a constant. So Zach Potter has a lot to do during the season because he's the one that when we have an injury, we've got to put somebody in place. You brought up the draft, and that's really been interesting because one of the things that we did in the draft, we have drafted players that maybe that aren't going to come to us this year, but we have drafted players' rights. Guys that's going to go into the NFL maybe for 1, 2, or 3 years and then come back to us.
Oh, nice.
Because I think that guy is going to be better for us in the long run than the guy that wasn't good enough to make it to an NFL roster. And so we've drafted, and what we're starting to get now after we've done it 3 years, we're starting to get some of those rights coming back to us. So there's going to be some nice little surprises of some guys that we were able to draft 2 or 3 years ago that we're going to have the opportunity to get them back onto our roster now.
So you're looking at the league,
Yep.
the merger, it's on stable ground.
Yes.
And when you're having these conversations with these potential players, they have to feel good to know that it's not in their back of their mind that one, I'm going to get paid.
Right.
And two, that this league is going to be around. And on top of that, there's already a pipeline that's been established so NFL personnel has a way to go through that.
Yeah, you look at DeAndre Tillman. Look at all these guys that have had great success. They've not only had success in our league, but they've gone on to the NFL. And I think right now, when you look at, I'm going to go, I don't want to get too far. I've always loved college because I love the development of the player. That is gone. The players are now hopping from here to there to there to there. You don't have the development process you had in college with what Nick Saban would do or coaches would do, where they bring a guy in as a freshman and then watch him grow mentally, physically, fundamentally, athletically to become a great player to go there. You are losing some of that with everybody hopping around. What's that portal going to look like on December 9th this year? How many guys are going to get in it? I think it's going to be crazy. I think the UFL is becoming a very valid and valuable tool for the NFL teams because they are getting polished products that are ready to step in and play because of the level that they're playing and the development they're having in this league. And so right now, I think we're not talking about, are we coming back? Nobody's saying, I hope it works. I mean, you've got Fox and Redbird Capital that have merged together. This thing, are we going to be able to pay our bills? Talking about year one, I went out for game 7, an official came up to me and said, congratulations. And I said, for? And he said, for making it to game 7. There hasn't been a spring league since the 80s that have made it past 6 games.
So true.
You know what I mean? And I thought, wow, you know what? Really, that's where we are. And there were about 5 leagues that have tried and have folded, and a lot of resentment. And you know what? The rug was pulled out from under us, but it was a financial model that didn't work. Well, you've got Redbird Capital and Fox that are committed to making this work. They're losing money right now, yes. And they knew they were going to lose money, but they put this money aside and said, okay, we're going to do this 3 to 5 years doing it this way, and then we're going to put them in their individual markets, and then we're going to sell them. And right now, when you look at the visibility, the development of the players, where the players are going, I would say it's a 10 out of 10 for what they thought this league would become. When you look at the television ratings, I think it's a 10 out of 10 with what they thought it would be to where it is right now. We're outdrawing Major League Soccer. We're outdrawing some of the NBA playoffs. I mean, it has been really phenomenal, the reception. I think when you look at the amount of money being gambled on these games, and I'm not, I know that's part of it now. I mean, let's not put our head in the sand. Yeah. It's here. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's got a strong backing behind it. When you look at the players' success, the success of the league, it's been a lot of fun. But I do think that there are a lot more players that from a credibility standpoint are saying, oh, shoot, I'll just go to the UFL because I got a chance to rebrand myself and go play in the league again.
You know how spoiled we are, and I realize this during the college football season every single Saturday, as officials will make a call.
Yep.
They go under the hood. It's
Yep.
up for review. We don't get the transparency in the talking because there is no way if we had that, that they could justify if they knew that they were on live television and telling the audience some of the calls that they come up with. We get that in the UFL.
I would agree with that. And I can't tell you all the coaches are excited about it to be mic'd up for everything I say. I'm just glad I'm not mic'd up for everything I think. You know, I'm just glad I'm not mic'd up for that.
You keep it clean.
You keep it real clean.
You know what?
There are others in the league.
I am not a
that
big.
Don't.
Here's my mindset on game day. Don't flinch. You know what? If I lose my cool and I turn into some tyrant, cuss spewing, just having, you know what? Your players start to look at you and go, you know what? Coach doesn't think we can win. Something's broke. Now Sunday's meetings. Oh, I will. You know what I mean? I'm glad they're not. Year one, they had cameras in our meeting rooms.
Oh, wow.
I'm glad we don't have that because I am much harder in a post-game film on mistakes. But game day, don't flinch. Like, you know what? You threw a pick. I'm not going to bring you over and rip your rear end. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, look, we got 8 minutes to go. I mean, I need you to focus, dial in. I can't win this game without you. I need you to come. But to rip a guy right there and put him in his place is not going to help us win.
He's already ripping himself.
Nobody feels worse than he does.
Right.
And I will tell you, one of the worst things that happened to me, probably one of the best things that happened to me, when I was in college, I roughed the punter out at Southern Cal. Not one of my prouder moments as a player. But I roughed the punter at Southern Cal. When they throw that flag and you're standing over on the sideline, you feel like 80,000 people are looking at one person on the field, and that's you. And nobody feels worse than the individual that made the mistake. Nobody. And so you don't need to pile on that. You need to bring them back, And so I'm not a big dog cusser on game day. I'm probably more animated with the officials than I am ever with a player, with everything. But that's one of the things that I have learned a long time ago. It's like you've got, as a leader, your players are looking at you, and it's not just what you say, it's how you respond. I mean, and I've gotten to the point now where I'll look at some guy and this guy, you know what? That might have been the dumbest decision I've ever seen in a football game of my life. You know what I mean? I'm not always positive, but I will not change my tone of voice to just screaming at an individual.
That is Coach Skip Holtz. He'll join us for a few more minutes, and we're also going to talk about a big event that's going to be happening tonight.
Exactly.
So we'll talk about that next with Coach Skip Holtz in studio. This is Jocks 94.5. Couple more minutes with Coach Skip Holtz of the Birmingham Stallions, the 3-time world champion Birmingham Stallions. We are just not too long away, Landrum, where we will be back at Protective Stadium as the Stallions.
I can't wait. Giddy up.
Yep, looks to try to once again have his 4th championship.
And I hope you guys are working on your quarterback stuff right now. I hope
We are.
You guys have gotten a little bit better during the offseason because, you get better, you get worse. You never stay the same.
Me and Pat, we share the same motto as Coach Nick Saban, and it was once said, the road to success is always under construction, Coach.
Exactly, without a doubt. Good, I like that.
Yeah, I don't know if Saban originally said it or he stole it from somebody.
Yeah, but we'll steal it from him.
I attribute
okay.
it to Coach Nick Saban.
I like it.
All right, so we got a very special event that's going on tonight. It's the Birmingham Stallions fan event. It's going to start at 5 o'clock. It's at Cahaba Brewing Company. It's a free event. And so fans will get the opportunity to hear about the upcoming 2025 season. Not only Skip Holtz, but UFL President and CEO Russ Brandon and UFL Executive Vice President Football Operations Daryl Moose Johnston, who was a regular guest on this program 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Before we kicked him to the curb to get Coach Skip Holtz.
Well, let's go.
Well, he hasn't won world championships.
Exactly. I would have been more impressed if you would have got me from the beginning. But, everybody jumps on
honestly,
the bandwagon
Coach,
when you're
Landrum
ready.
and I wanted to make sure that this was going to work out with you here.
We didn't want to invest emotionally again with another coach
You
of a
guys are the
franchise.
best. You guys are the best.
We had to see how it worked out, Coach.
Okay. Well, it's working out great. That's
Yes,
why I know
yes.
that.
All right, so tonight, 5 o'clock, Cahaba Brewing.
Yep.
We're going to have Q&As. Fans can go. They can be a part of it. They're going to be able to meet and greet with
Yep.
you, and they're going to learn all kinds of things
We
about
got a
the
couple
league.
players that are going to be there. We've got, like you said, the brass is going to be there, and Russ and Daryl. We just want to come in, start talking a little bit about season tickets. Schedules will probably be released in the next week or two. And like you said, we're way past are we coming back? We are so far down that road right now. Everything's going great. Just want to have the opportunity to come back and interact with so many of the people here in Birmingham and how supportive they've been with everything. I know everybody gets excited about fall football, but 8 cities in the country really have an opportunity to get fired up about spring football. And Birmingham is one of those cities, and we're blessed to have the opportunity to represent this city and to be here in the football capital of the South. So excited about it.
Well, you joined us at Social Taco before you went into the off season, and we have so many people that join us every Tuesday. And I know they're excited about the upcoming season, and knowing that the Stallions are back and that you'll have an opportunity tonight, people can buy season tickets tonight there at the event. So it'll be a good opportunity to be able to say hello to Coach Holtz and Moose and the rest of the UFL gang and buy some season tickets.
I want to pack protective. I know that's the deal, but I think if we can, somebody said if we just fill the lower bowl, and I'm like, lower bowl, well, let's fill it all. You know what I mean? Fill it up. Let's make this thing. I want everybody in this league to say, well, no wonder they're winning. Look at the advantage they have playing at home in Birmingham in front of those crowds. They talk about the snake at D.C. and they talk about St. Louis, who had an NFL team. Playing in a dome stadium and everything, and how rabid they are. I want this to be the model. I want this to be. We've kind of built it to be the motto on the field right now. We're 32-4, I think, in 3 years. I want it to be the model from a home field advantage standpoint right here in Birmingham, because I think we have an opportunity to show the country just how supportive and how together this city is.
Me and my wife, we use it as a date night.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
What's going to be exciting this year is I think they're going to add, I know there's a lot of talk about maybe adding some Friday night games, which I know everybody is totally against in the fall because Friday nights are for high school football, which I get it.
All for it in the spring.
But Friday night in the spring,
woo!
You know what? You still get your Saturdays
Woo!
and Sundays to yourself, but come Friday night game, come out after work, tailgate, come on to the game, go to dinner. I mean, I think I think it's going to be an awesome window of Friday night in the spring. So I'm hoping we'll see when those schedules come out. I don't know how many of those we're going to get, but I think those are going to be an awesome opportunity for us to really showcase the city and get the support that this program and this city deserves.
All right, so March 28th is kickoff.
Yes.
Like when you leave this studio, and I know you are working constantly. Just tell us about the speed of trying to put this roster together before you guys get together for the first practice.
Well, it's as you talked about, it's under construction constantly. And talking with Zach Potter, our personnel guy who works tirelessly in the off season, talking with players, building relationships, trying to get, you're trying to find that guy that's right there. He may make it in the NFL and he may fall through the cracks. And if you get 50 of those and 10 of them work, it's like, wow, that was pretty good. Now, it's a lot of work to recruit 50 to get 10, but they're the 10 difference makers. And so Zach has worked tirelessly on that. We are getting to the point as we get towards the end of the season. A lot of guys are like, well, let me just hold still to see if there's an injury during the season or maybe something will work for me. But as we start to get into this in December, it starts to become, you know what, I better solidify my spot, in the UFL. And so that, I think we're going to see quite a few of them are going to start signing in December and January as this team takes shape.
Coach Skip Holtz, always great to visit.
Are y'all throwing me out?
Your people are telling us you've got to go.
They're saying that you have to go.
You got to go.
You have a permanent seat on this show. Thank you,
love
Coach.
it. I love being here. You guys are the best. Thank you for all you do. And again, thank you to Birmingham, and look forward to seeing everybody tonight at 5:00.
It is 11 o'clock here on Three Man Front. Always great to catch up with Coach Skip Holtz.
He's the best.
Three-time national, world, international champion, the Birmingham Stallions.
Sure. State.
Yeah.
Region.
It will be here before you know it. March 28th will be the kickoff.
Once again, tonight, you can get out to Cahaba Brewing, 5 p.m., Coach Holtz is going to be there.
Free
Moose
event.
is going to be there. It is a free event. You can go in the Q&A and get ready. Giddy up. We appreciate Coach Holtz and Heather for joining us here today in studio. You can join our friends at Mandu in downtown Homewood. Mandu is electrical muscle stimulation fitness. And here's the thing. You sign up for that first free visit where they're going to put you through the workout. You get 50% off. 50% off of your monthly membership. And this runs all the way through December. 15 minutes. That's how long the workout takes. Because of that technology, when they put you in a suit, they're going to hook you up to a machine. It doesn't hurt. They're going to put you through a 15-minute workout, and all those muscle groups are going to get worked. And I don't know scientifically how it's done. I just know it's been approved. and people are getting results. You can try it. Your first visit is free. They're going to put you through the workout. Go to Mandu in downtown Homewood. You can follow them on Instagram, also on Facebook at Mandu Homewood. That's MANDUU Homewood. Mandu.com. Tell Paul and the entire gang there that Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you.
Joining us now on the Buyers Right Hotline from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Tider Insiders Rodney Orr joins us. And Rodney, when we met with you last Thursday, you made the prediction that Alabama would win that game. You laid out the architect, what was going to need to happen for the Tide, and by golly, it came to fruition. Happy Thursday to you.
Yeah, happy Thursday to you guys too. But I picked it a lot closer than 42-13, to be honest.
Well, you did. You said it was going to be a closer game. Likewise, so did I think everyone on our staff. But in the likelihood, the way that Alabama went about it, you laid that out pretty nicely in regards to what Jalen Milroe needed to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he did a nice job in the rain. Obviously he was efficient as a passer, 12 of 18, but it was obviously his running that made the difference in this game. And after last year, he had that big game. He rushed for 155 yards, 4 touchdowns. You weren't expecting basically a deja vu, right? I mean, same thing over again. It was pretty amazing, what he did. And they changed some things up, obviously. You got to give kudos to Nick Sheridan, the offensive coordinator, of course, Kalen DeBoer, for the way they've kind of tweaked things with this offense since the Tennessee game when he threw it 45 times. That number went to 26 against Missouri. They put him in a lot of good, favorable situations there with some quick, short throws to develop rhythm and confidence for him. And I think that's a big key. And, that was very helpful again in Baton Rouge, where he only threw it 18 times. But he really got those legs involved this time and had some tremendous explosive plays.
Rodney, on the defensive side of the ball, Kane Womack in this group, 2 straight SEC games. You've only surrendered 13 points in 8 quarters of football. I think ideally, and when he made the comment that hopefully by the end of the season, near the end of the season, this team conceptually is going to start coming around. It certainly appears so from my vantage point. What are your thoughts on the defense and how they've progressed?
Yeah, you know what? You saw it right at the beginning of the Missouri game, I think. They got after Brady Cook pretty quickly in that game, got him to move. And I know he was a little injured, but I think pressure has been a real key, seems to me, getting pressure on Brady Cook, but then getting pressure on Nussmeier in this game, making him move, forcing mistakes. They strip him one time when he gets outside the pocket and Tim Smith comes up with the recovery. They just got him a little bit uneasy back there. And I think that's something that has been a real positive in these 2 games. 8 quarters of football, like you said, they gave up 13 points, and really 7 of that came at the very end of the LSU game. So it's been pretty phenomenal. Like you said, I do think they're becoming more and more comfortable, the players, with the scheme. You can see that they're playing faster, and the corners are playing really well. You're not seeing in these last 2 games against some really good receivers too. You're not seeing guys get lost back there and receivers running open. So that was something that we saw in basically every game up until the last couple of games. So, hopefully defensively, they're really starting to come around.
Talking to Rodney Orr, Tider Insider, joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline every Thursday here on 3-Man Front. Are the injuries that are mounting up on this football team, does that give you any pause or concern moving forward in regards to their CFP opportunities?
Well, I think, first of all, there's some people that ask about Jaden Roberts at right guard. He seems to be okay based on what I hear. And I thought Geno Vandermark did a fantastic job stepping in. He has all year, whether it's been at center when Brailsford's helmets come off or, when he's had to come in there at the right guard spot. So that looks to be pretty good. And then I think also on the other side of the ball with Q Robinson going out, I mean, I hate it for him because he's been around, he's waited his turn, he's had a really good season, he's been a key part of this defense. He's done a really good job as a pass rusher. So I really hate that for Q Robinson. Great guy, by the way, great kid. But still, you got guys that I think Quay Rousseau's played basically as many plays, maybe even more, as Q has played this year. So it's time for him, another opportunity for him to really step up and take it to the next level. and I think Johannes Pierre, hopefully he's fully healthy and ready to go because he's going to certainly be there in support. And, it would not be a surprise, I guess, if maybe they did some tweaking and put Jihad Campbell on the edge some and turn him loose as a pass rusher. Some people think that that's really his forte, is to be able to get out there on the edge and rush the passer. So we'll see, but hopefully that they should be okay there. And I think Bray Hubbard's done a tremendous job, by the way, in reserve for filling in for Keon Sabb. I mean, he's got 2 interceptions in his last 2 games. Really seems to be playing extremely well.
Rodney Orr, Tighter Insider, joining us here on Three Man Front. All of our guests join us on the Buyers Right hotline. I do want to step outside and just look at the overall SEC, Rodney, because it's been incredible, and I think this year more so than any that I can remember. And there's contributing factors to the reason why, but the parity and the fickle nature that is not only college football but the SEC. How much is your perception of the league? Who's at the top? Who's maybe that next tier? How much has that changed here in just the last 2-3 weeks?
It changes every week. I mean, it's been amazing to me, just the way the change, and as I look at it week to week. Right now, I would still say Texas is now, the team I would put at the top. I think Alabama's obviously moved up with the win over LSU. Tennessee's up there, obviously. Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Georgia. You certainly don't count them out either. But those are the teams that I may be missing somebody, but those are the teams that, certainly jump out to me. I think South Carolina's, flashed in some games too. I think they're really, obviously they handled Texas A&M a couple of weeks ago. So it has been topsy-turvy, and it has been, as you kind of said, fickle. I mean, very fickle. And that's the way it is around the country. It's just pretty amazing.
In regards to this football team, the rest of the way, got Mercer coming up this weekend. Then you got to go on the road to an Oklahoma team that has had less than a stellar season. And then you come home for the Iron Bowl. And Auburn's hoping they can get on a run here towards the end. That game could potentially be for their bowl eligibility. And obviously they played Alabama extremely hard. Just your thoughts on the closing weeks of this regular season. And would you prefer to see Alabama, once you know that they're solid into the CFP, would you want to see them in Atlanta playing for an SEC title and perhaps a bye in the first round? Or are you good with the Tide getting to the CFP and at least getting an extra week of trying to get everybody healthy before the CFP?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think, handling success. After they beat Georgia the way they did, the emotion, the excitement, all of that was involved in that game, they obviously didn't handle it extremely well the next week at Vanderbilt. And then they struggled, somewhat after that. They still had some lingering effects. So how does Alabama handle it this time, going down to Baton Rouge and having now all this hype kind of resurfacing? How do they handle that? Did they play to the opponent this Saturday, or did they play to the standard? I think that's one thing we'll be able to judge this team by, just how far they've come. And again, I'm not saying that Mercer's going to necessarily challenge to win the game, but just how does Alabama play? Are they clean? Do they show a lot of maturity out there, take care of business? That's really what I want to see, from the team. But as far as the other question, I think if you're 10-2, you guys may know more about it than I do, but it would be, if you go to Atlanta and lose, that certainly potentially could keep you out of the playoffs, I would think, with 3 losses. So, I mean, the safe bet is, to me, is to go 10-2 and, not have to worry about going to Atlanta. On the flip side of that, I think if you did go to Atlanta and you won, you would certainly boost your ranking and position in the pecking order there in terms of where you fall in the playoffs, and maybe potentially even moving up to have a bye and all of that. But yeah, I think it would be great, though. This is just me. I think it would be great to have Alabama and Texas in Atlanta. I think that would be fantastic. I'd love to see it. I think it would be really good for the SEC, but I think it'd be great for college football just to see those two teams, Texas first year in. and those two teams playing in Atlanta.
Yeah, Rodney, and we totally agree with you. And that's the thing is we don't know how the committee is going to treat some of these SEC or conference championship games. I would say that, it would be a bad precedent in my mind for them to keep somebody out just because they played an extra game and maybe they were sitting there with 2 losses. They were solidly in, and then somehow they lose a close ball game and then they're out. I think that's dangerous. Maybe just with it being year 1 of the college football playoff expanded 12-team field, nobody wants to be the guinea pig right now, right? So maybe at least let them go through the process this year, and then we can filter it all out. And I just think that would be terrible because the conferences, they want to keep the emphasis on the championship games. We know how much money is tied to that corporately and everything else. I find it hard to believe that they're going to be super, super critical or keep teams out just because they played that extra game.
Yeah, you would hope not, again, but you never know. It would probably be some degree of risk for sure. If Alabama went and lost, they had 3 losses, and everybody else had 2 or 1, and how you would fit Alabama in there, just hypothetically. So there might be a degree of risk to that, but at the same time, like I said, I really, if you want to take the bird in the hand, but I still think if you got a chance to go to Atlanta to win an SEC championship, that's really big. And I just think it would be such a tremendous matchup with Alabama and Texas.
All right, Ryan, let's talk a little recruiting. And you predicted, not necessarily that he was going to end up at Ole Miss, but as you have given us a disclaimer, especially when it comes to Mississippi high school kids, historically speaking, whether it's Alabama or Auburn, Georgia, anybody else coming into the state of Mississippi, trying to get those blue chippers out of the state and sign somewhere else, it's a difficult process. Caleb Cunningham has been committed, the 5-star wide receiver for Alabama, for a number of months. You bewared us, so you said, hey, guys, until signing day, just, take it with a grain of salt. And so much that happened this week as he now has flipped his verbal commitment from Alabama to Ole Miss. Needless to say, I would think that you were not very shocked.
No. That's called experience, I guess, because I've been following this a long, long time. And it did not surprise me. I knew it would obviously be a battle to the end. You're hoping Alabama can, could hold on to a guy like that. I actually spoke to one of the top high school coaches in the history of Mississippi football last year, overall in his career, and he told me, he said, this kid. I asked him, what is Caleb Cunningham? How good is he? He said, I watched A.J. Brown play in high school several times. And he said he's a bigger version of A.J. Brown coming out of high school. Don't know what he's going to do in college, but he said that's where I would kind of peg him. So this is a loss for Alabama, assuming that he goes ahead and signs with Ole Miss. Again, it can be unpredictable, but I would assume that he will go ahead and sign with Ole Miss. And so it is a loss, but Alabama at the same time, has a really outstanding commitment from Latsier Brooks out of Millville, New Jersey, an electrifying player up there, set the record for touchdowns up there. I think he scored 22 as a junior, and he's lighting it up again this year. And fantastic player, but also they've got a kid coming in this week. I think he's going to be in today, Nashawn Montgomery, who's out of the Miami area, committed to Florida quite a while back, but he's a nice looking receiver, really talented kid. So maybe they replace Cunningham's spot with Nashawn Montgomery when he comes in this weekend. We'll see.
That is Rodney Orr. Follow all of the recruiting information and the very latest with Alabama football. Go to TiderInsider.com. Message boards were pretty happy the other night, right?
Oh, yeah, they're back on a high, man. It's bipolar. I'm telling you, it's it can hit rock bottom and go up to the sky in just one game like that.
Well, I'll tell you what.
He can wear whatever he wants now.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah, they don't care. I didn't hear anything about his attire. Trust me.
That's pretty amazing. All right, that is Rodney Orr. Rodney, enjoy the weekend, and we will chat with you next Thursday.
Okay, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks. That is Rodney Orr joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline for all your insurance, financial, and HR needs. It's Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner.
We got college football tonight. We got the NFL tonight. We got college football tomorrow. College football all day Saturday and the NFL all day on Sunday. There is one sports bar you need to go to. It's Rambler Sports Bar and Grill. They're at the Finnick near Railroad Park. All the jumbo screens. The projector screen is 283 inches of high def football action you're going to get when you go in there. Also, the award-winning menu, great beverages, just a great environment. The sound is awesome. They're inside, and you say, well, why the sound? Well, there's a lot of places you can go, and there's a million games on a million different televisions, but there's one big game, like last week with Alabama taking on LSU. Well, they turned the volume up so you can actually follow the game like you were there in the privacy of your own home. It's Rambler Sports Bar and Grill. They're at the Finnick. Open today, lunch, all the way through Sunday Night Football, Red Zone, NFL Sunday Ticket. They got that as well. It is Rambler Sports Bar and Grill at the Finnick near Railroad Park, 1630 2nd Avenue South. Make sure you tell them Landrum from Three Man Front sent you. It is a busy Thursday. We've already talked to Rodney Orr. We're going to talk Auburn with Rob Pate coming up as well. Text line is open 205-834-9450. We keep rolling along on this Thursday. Three Man Front, America's home for college football. Jocks 94.5.
11:21, Jocks 94.5 on this Thursday. Man, what a busy show already. Skip Holtz in the studio for 45 minutes talking about Stallions. Don't forget, free event tonight, 5 o'clock, Cahaba Brewing. Won't cost you a dime. Go have an opportunity to ask Skip Holtz questions, talk about the quarterback situation that Landrum and I have already been privy to some behind-the-scenes information that we're already starting to look at film.
We have got some talent to cipher through.
Yes. So go by and see those fine folks tonight at 5 o'clock, free event at Cahaba Brewing.
By the way, how pumped are you about the opportunity, the possibility with a Friday night window in the spring for these games?
I think it'll be great. On Fox, that is taking the place of was it the SmackDown? Was that Friday night?
Yes.
WWE?
This Friday?
No. Original. Well, you were doing something. You probably didn't hear.
No, I was like, no, Jake Paul's on Friday. Are we not all excited for that?
No, we're talking about the WWE because they left Fox and they used to have it on Friday nights.
Oh, I got you. What's
It's now
normally
the
on
UFL.
television on Friday nights? Okay, yes, it was WWE. Yes.
He's ours. Yeah. That's good.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
you got several chainsaws that you're juggling
That's
in there.
right.
I wasn't going to say anything else, but okay. If you got an older roof and you're thinking it may need to be replaced, listen up before you do so. Our friends at Roof Max of Hoover have a professional and affordable roof treatment scientifically proven to reduce the aging process of your asphalt roof. Here's how it works. Roof Max resaturates your old, dirty, dry shingles with a natural bio-friendly treatment that gives you 5 more years of protection, guaranteed. If you flip houses, maybe you're a real estate agent, this is a point of contention on getting the sale to go through. Perfect solution to extend the life of the roof. 5 years guaranteed. Average cost of replacing a roof without insurance helping out, it's $15,000 to $20,000 in the U.S. Pay pennies on the dollar with Roof Max of Hoover. Roof Max of Hoover. Call or text them 205-913-2243. That's 205-913-2243. Roof Max of Hoover. And mention Jocks for the 10% discount and the free roof assessment.
So when Skip Holtz was in studio, he was supposed to be in Birmingham a few weeks ago, but unfortunately because of Hurricane Helene and ruined his house, and thousands and millions of other people have been affected by those storms, not only in Florida, but up through Appalachia. It was a situation where it has obviously affected where the Tampa Bay Rays are going to play baseball. I don't know if you saw this story, but Conrad's franchise, the New York Yankees, in their benevolent fashion, they are going to allow the Rays to play at George Steinbrenner Field there in St. Petersburg.
We're an incredibly generous
First of all,
organization.
When we came back and we played down there against South Florida, looking at that complex across the street, wow.
I've actually been there before. It's very, very nice.
It is very nice.
So the stadium seats 11,000. So now there will be 2 stadiums in the American League this year that will be seating around 11,000. The A's will be playing in Sacramento, and now the Rays will be playing at George Steinbrenner Field there in St. Pete. So
I think appropriate for both franchises, given their attendance
pretty
over the
much
past few years.
Pretty much. Tickets might be tough to come by in those 2 markets.
Yeah, and you feel bad for the Rays because, I mean, the A's have been kind of
Somebody in
haven't been great.
Sacramento, though, for that first game, Pat, they've got to let the cat loose.
They should
onto
have
the
cat
field.
night for the first home game.
Did you see the report to where it was literally a couple months ago that the city of St. Pete had lowered their insurance premiums to save some money on the stadium, on the dome? To literally save a couple $100,000.
And now,
now it is going to cost them.
it was what, hundreds of millions of dollars,
Yeah,
right?
like almost $500 million
Yeah.
to fix the roof of the stadium. So, but they lowered their insurance premiums to save a couple coin, and that came back to haunt them.
I was a little bit surprised, and I don't know what the specifications were or the code was for that original roof, but I think about the type of roof that they have at the Denver airport, and that thing basically is so strong where you could stand 7 full-grown human or full-grown elephants on top of one another in like a square foot, and it would hold it. I just wonder if this is just a little bit surprising. And I know that it was not built yesterday, but Like the Metrodome when they got all the snow, and the
it
roof
fell
collapsed.
in.
It was just a little bit surprising, and especially its proximity and where it sits on the coast.
Yes, I was about to say that seemed like maybe an oversight or another situation where they were trying to save money on perhaps some of the materials.
Yeah. So your Yankees.
$15 million.
They're going to pay the
Give it
Major
all to
League-
Juan Soto.
Yeah, the Major League Baseball is going to give the Yankees $15 million.
Oh, that's all they need.
Out of their, just thank you for doing what you're doing to help the Rays out.
You could buy runner-up rings.
Thank you, Landrum. Yes, they can.
Just trying to help.
I was about to say, that'll buy you a middle reliever nowadays, $15 million. It's about the going rate.
So has the anger subsided any from any of the social media posts that you've seen in regards to the CFP rankings? Has that calmed down any?
No.
People are still outraged?
Yes.
Which fan base do you think is the most outraged?
I keep seeing a lot of Tennessee stuff, and I think it's because our buddy SEC Mike, to his credit, is reposting a lot of Tennessee fans that are upset about, well, what if we lose to Georgia and fall behind Alabama in the rankings? And to his credit, he is actually the voice of reason. And hey, if this is how it goes, yeah, the committee should put Tennessee behind teams X, Y, and Z. But Tennessee fans are not.
The bottom line is if you can't go between the hedges based on this year's Georgia team and win, why should you be in the college football playoff?
I mean, you can control your own destiny. That's all that anybody asks for at this point in the season, right? Go and win the games.
Yeah. So
I feel like even with a loss tomorrow, Tennessee, they still get included. But I just wonder they're not going to put 5 SEC teams in this year. I think that ship has sailed.
Because they're going to put in 6.
No. We're not getting that in year 1.
So do you remember John Kurtz, the Big 12 blogger? Remember we played an audio clip of him calling Greg Sankey, Greg Snaky?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
This is the guy in Manhattan, Kansas, right?
So,
not that I'm keeping score.
So last night he did an emergency college football playoff Twitter video, whatever. I was one of the people on it because I was
you and the boy from Guatemala.
I was watching because I wanted
and
to
the 12 BYU fans out there.
Well, no, the title of his video was SEC propagandists are strong at it. So I'm like, okay, well let's see who's. So he played a clip of Jay Piquel of what we played yesterday. He played that clip. Then he played a clip of Paul Feinbaum going on Get Up yesterday morning, ripping the college football playoff committee about how they like to hang out in a 5-star resort and they don't know what they're doing.
They're drinking champagne and eating caviar while they're doing.
They're not watching the games.
Yep.
They're not paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah, Paul did not. He did not hold back.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, Paul. We really never really read those emails we got from ESPN management when they would tell us to do certain things.
Yeah,
we kind of did our own thing.
Hey, by the way, this is the narrative we're going with. So if you could say some things that support it.
That usually meant that we would go the opposite direction. That's usually how it would go.
Worked out pretty well for you.
Or it would be this conversation. I didn't see that email. Did you see it? Yeah, I did. Well, I didn't see it. And then we just went ahead and did it anyway.
It doesn't work on people that say, you know what? Go ahead, fire me. I dare you.
Like I was a couple rungs below
Pat was like, hey, at least read the email, please.
Yeah, I was like below the interns at ESPN. So I'm like going, I need my job.
Yeah.
So no, I read it. Yeah, this is what it said. So, but yeah, anyway, so in this podcast, videocast, whatever you want to call it, believe it or not, I gave a newfound respect because he actually said, look, if BYU did play those SEC teams that Piquel mentioned, he says, I don't think there's any doubt that BYU would be a 7 to 10 point underdog to those. But the part he had a problem with was saying that the South Carolinas and people like that, he said going up against Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, maybe Texas A&M, that would be problematic for BYU. But when you start talking about the South Carolinas of the world, just a completely different argument there.
And that was my point yesterday. And it was responding to what JD had said. And that's why I asked when we had Brian Edwards on, where would you have these teams? Where would you set the line for certain teams? And I was a little bit surprised by his response. But just to say blanket, any team that's ranked, like Missouri, when Missouri was ranked, I don't care if Missouri was healthy. I still would I like BYU in that particular matchup.
Absolutely.
I think South Carolina, that would be intriguing. Are you going to get BYU at their best, or are you going to get one of these other? Are you going to get South Carolina versus Ole Miss earlier in the season where they put up 3 points and gave up 27? I think I'm not going to say disingenuous, but I don't. The SEC is great, and we love our football down here. But how many times have we just automatically given the nod? Oh yeah, they'll win comfortably, and the result is much different.
Well, and it's. First off, BYU has earned the right to be in the top 12 because they're
Yes,
undefeated, right? In the Big 12. They have earned that. I have no problem with that.
They've actually beaten good teams.
That doesn't mean we don't think they would lose to a lot of SEC teams.
No.
But did you think that Alabama was going to lose to Vanderbilt this year? No, you did not. And if that can happen, as we've seen this year, pretty much anything's on the table. Nobody thought TCU was beating Michigan a couple years ago, but they did.
And you have to take into account the one game, Pat, that matchup, because are we going to get Arkansas that we got versus Tennessee? We're going to get Arkansas that we got versus Ole Miss. Which team we're going to get? We're going to get Arkansas versus LSU or Arkansas? No, Oklahoma State. That's a bad example. They ended up losing. I don't know how, but
yeah.
And that's something that we discuss with Rodney. We talk about it daily. We continue to just be amazed at how unpredictable college football as a whole is.
You see the warning signs, windows and doors that stick, cracks or brick on the block of your house, leaning or bowing walls in your basement, settling or sinking of the house. How much time before that minor repair is going to become a major, serious structural damage? You can't afford to call or wait to call anybody. You got to call APS today. Free estimate, 205-951-9717. Been around since 1977. Foundation problems don't get better with time. They get better when you call APS, 205-951-9717, or visit their website at alabamaprofessional.com.
We got your text coming in, 205-834-9450. We do have some time for the phone lines to be open if you would like to comment on the college football playoff, SEC championship game. Will the committee penalize the loser of that game? 800-239-WJOX. We roll on this Thursday, Jocks 94.5.
In about 10 minutes from now, Rob Pate will join us, the former Auburn DB, give us his thoughts on Auburn getting back on the field. It appears that Peyton Thorne may not be available to be the starting quarterback for the Auburn Tigers this weekend against ULM. So we will see what Rob has to say about the final 3 games of the regular season for the Tigers.
Well, if you've been to a football game, then you know that game day shoes are almost as important as your game day outfit. In the pants store, they have a ton of options for game day shoes, from boots to sneakers. If you're wanting to make a statement, you can try a pair of their cowboy boots, or if you're going more for comfort and style, they have a ton of sneakers that will last you all day long and that are so comfortable. And don't forget to get a clear bag with your outfit and some accessories as well. So shop online at pantstore.com or in store at one of their 6 locations in Alabama.
Well, after Tuesday night, a lot of debate on this show about how Penn State is and how Indiana is. Well, Penn State football and its season ticket holders are preparing for a potential college football playoff game in Beaver Stadium next month. This week, university officials emailed season ticket holders about the process for acquiring tickets for what would be a historic game. The Nittany Lions are in line with 3 games to go to host their first postseason game in the expanded playoff structure. So as this article goes on and on, the process begins with the season ticket holders who, according to the email, will have the exclusive opportunity to reserve their seat locations for that first round possible game on December 20th or 21st. They must reserve their seats by 11:59 on Friday, November the 22nd. So Penn State
please lose to Minnesota
is already throwing that out there. They will use mobile ticketing. The officials will not charge buyers credit cards until the playoff field is announced. So you go on and you reserve. And then obviously if they get into the playoff or they're hosting a game, then they will charge your credit card.
I just can't imagine being a Penn State fan and for 10 years you've come so close to making the playoff and now you're finally going to do it. You're going to get all excited. Some pissed off SEC team's going to come up to Happy Valley and just blow the doors off of you. I can't wait.
Well, it's funny because we're always used to these August and September games when teams will come to the South. Oh, the humidity. They're not used to the humidity.
Yeah.
It's going to kill them. They're not going to be able to play. And most of the time,
they're ready.
Because it's hot in other parts of the world. They might not have the Gulf Coast type of humidity, but I mean, it's hot. So that will be the number one thing. If someone has to go to Happy Valley, let's say a Southeastern Conference team, oh my gosh, they've never played in the snow before.
Oh, I know.
I
do believe that has more of a factor. Teams going into playing in frigid conditions as opposed to playing in really hot conditions.
Well, and especially if there's snow that factors in because it's essentially like rain, right? It kind of eliminates part of your ability to throw the football effectively, which for Ole Miss would be problematic, to be fair.
Well, I also find it interesting because you remember a couple of years ago before they decided to the expand playoff, you had Gene Smith, the athletics director at Ohio State. What did he say? He basically said, well, we're not going to be hosting a game in cold temperatures and rain or snow or whatever. He was throwing out the idea of potentially moving it to, an indoor stadium somewhere.
How would Ohio State fans feel about that?
See, you want that advantage, do you not?
I would think so.
Yeah.
It's like if you're the Packers, you want a home playoff game at Lambeau.
Why do we want to play this team on a neutral site?
No.
But I've not heard anybody mention that this year.
No.
And now you got Penn State that's sending out ticket requests to your season ticket holders about hosting a game there in Happy Valley. So Penn State's not trying to find a dome stadium somewhere to play.
Come on, Minnesota. I'm right there with you, Landrum.
Right?
That would be funny.
That series, Penn State only leads that series 10 games to 6. They haven't played that often, obviously. But the last time Minnesota won, it was at home, and it was in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Was it on the exact same day that this game's going to be played?
You know what? I'll look at that. What is Saturday?
November
23rd.
16th?
They play Minnesota on the 23rd.
The 23rd, okay.
Yeah.
No, unfortunately.
That would have been the kicker.
You know
right
who
there.
they have this weekend, though?
It came on Saturday, November.
I do not
9th.
know who Penn State plays this weekend.
Purdue.
Yeah, I saw Ohio State people talking about, I can't believe, Alabama's playing Mercer this week. It's like, you just played Purdue. They're 1-8, 1-9.
Does Purdue score over 7 points in this game?
I'm not gonna give you a prediction because I didn't think Kent State would score more than 3 points last night.
Poor Pat.
I will tell you this: Penn State is a 28.5-point favorite in that game.
Yeah.
What's the point
Oh,
total?
wait, that's the over/under.
No, the total is 50.
They think Purdue's going to
Under.
Wow. Okay.
I think
Yeah.
Mercer could beat Purdue.
Mercer's a good football team.
Yeah, they are.
Folks better get ready
They're
on
good.
Saturday.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be.
Don't be sleepwalking in that one.
I mean, they're 9-1.
Tin Horn, Georgia Southern. Hello.
But hey, they don't like playing teams from the state of Alabama. Just go
That's right.
ask Samford down the road.
That's right. Samford took them out to the
Oh,
woodshed.
hatch attack.
We will get to your text 205-834-9450 on the Jocks text line. Molly is traveling to LA to go and watch her Corn Huskers take on the USC Fighting Men of Troy. This one comes in recommendations for restaurants. Forget Spago, Nobu in Malibu, or Craig's in Hollywood.
Good to know.
Do you guys have reservations yet?
No, we do not.
Boy, it's just like Nobu's like the. It's like that's like the nicest restaurant or one of the nicest restaurants you could go to, which would be awesome if you could get in there. I just feel like
How about In-N-Out?
it's probably hard.
Oh, my
to
parents
get a
went there
reservation.
yesterday.
Do they?
By the way, Bama at Legion Field stormed the field after Philip Doyle field goal. Text comes in. Harrison says Georgia stormed the field after beating Tennessee at home in 1999 after a long drought. 9 games, longest streak in the rivalry, 1989 through 99.
So they said that in 1999, Georgia rushed the field?
Yes. That is correct.
I'm trying to
a
think,
long time ago.
because I went to high school with Philip Dole, and I'm trying to remember.
Okay, this one says Georgia stormed the field in 2000 against Tennessee, broke a 9-game losing streak. Jim Donnan was the coach. Quincy Carter was a quarterback. And Steve from Tennessee said, I was there, and it was crazy. Go Dogs.
Okay.
This was, do you think Georgia fans would storm the field if they knocked off Tennessee? And I don't think we're there. Anthony, optimistic Auburn fan, says, y'all think this fight between Tyson and Paul is a real fight, or is this a money grab for Tyson to take the knockout? I hope it's not.
I think we all know that they are in this for
What
the
was the one that
paycheck.
he did for charity when he fought? I forget. But I bought the pay-per-view because I had family in town. My nephews wanted to watch it. It was around Thanksgiving a few years ago.
Because weren't they supposed to do this fight like 6 months ago?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
And then something happened with Tyson, right? Health-wise?
Yeah. I thought that's what it was. Because we had talked about how expensive it was to go. It was like $1 million for like their biggest suite or whatever at the event.
This one rolls in, and yes, there is a flip side of this coin. Everybody talks about a team playing itself out of the playoffs by playing in the conference championship game. What if a team plays themselves into the playoffs by way of conference championship and a team not playing get pushed out of the playoffs? That could happen. This is going to be the original litmus test this year and how that plays out. I just think it's more probable that it happens this year just based, Pat, on how many SEC teams have 2 losses and the potential of having 2 losses.
Yeah, I think in the future you would have a situation where you might have some teams that would be, already with 2 losses, but then they knock off someone that's either undefeated or has 1 loss. Then all of a sudden that assists them because they get the automatic bye. So
Yep. One team that has more than 2 losses, the Auburn Tigers. Rob Pate, he's going to talk about them, what we expect this weekend versus ULM next. 11:48 here on this Football Thursday. Landrum, Pat, Molly, and Conrad. Rob Pate talking Auburn in just a moment. If you're talking about a new vehicle to drive around in this fall, this winter, into the spring, why not our friends at Dobbs Ford? Dobbs Ford on Parkway East in Birmingham, the Goshen family, wonderful people. Everybody there on the entire staff at Dobbs Ford, wonderful people, whether you're looking at the F-150s, one of the Broncos that I was driving just a couple of weeks ago, the Broncos Sports, the Mustangs, the Explorers, Alabama's largest showroom selection. You go to DobbsFordBirmingham.com. 2 certified diesel mechanics, and that's a rarity these days. They're in a wonderful paint and body shop. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. Go see and feel the difference. They're on Parkway East. DobbsFordBirmingham.com, and make sure you tell them Landrum from Jock sent you.
Rob Pate, former DB, Auburn Tigers, joins us now here on Three Man Front. Rob, I hope you're doing well as we get ready for the final 3 games of the regular season. Your thoughts on where Auburn currently is and the likelihood that they can get to a bowl game with these 3 games remaining?
I think that's going to be a tough call. It's very difficult for us, me, Auburn people in general, to feel confident about, knocking off really any SEC competitor at this point. But especially two teams that are, up towards the top of the division in Texas A&M and Alabama that you have to finish with. And the difficulty that we've had in defending our home turf. I think that under Coach Freeze, we've actually had a better away record than we have home record, which, hopefully bodes well when we have to go to Bryant-Denny. But, we still have 2 games left under the lights at Jordan-Hare. So, I wouldn't want to bet my house on it, but I also see, week in and week out teams that find answers and get better and beat teams that they shouldn't. And, it's not like there's definitive dominance in this conference and really in college football at all. So very fine line between teams that are walking away winners and losers. And it's just a matter of the matchup and who comes out and executes each week. And Auburn just has to find a way to win games, to make a play when a play's there to be made. And we just haven't had guys step up and deliver in that enough. And hopefully we can create a plan and find a way to get Jarquez Hunter the ball and establish a running game and not go away from it when it's working and then finish ball games out here.
Maybe this comes off as unfair, but you always shoot us straight, and I know that you don't tote the company line. But now through 22 games under Hugh Freeze and his tenure, Rob, I understand guys got to make plays. Jimmy's and Joe's, not X's and O's, but how much of maybe not getting a win here or there, being able to finish a game, do you put on ultimately Hugh Freeze as the head coach?
I think he deserves a lot of it. I think that, when I think back to some of the games that we lost, you can go back and find calls that you scratch your head over. I go back to the Cal game or maybe it was the Oklahoma game, and we got the ball down there on the goal line and we bring in a receiver to run the Wildcat formation instead of allowing Jarquez Hunter to pound it in, those sorts of things. Trying to even in games that we've won against Kentucky, for Coach Freeze to admit that as Jarquez Hunter is basically unstoppable in this game, that he's having to catch himself not calling a pass play. Like I just have to commit to it even if I don't want to commit to it. And so I think there's a style of play that he's looking for that he feels most comfortable with that maybe, Auburn's just not there. And that's on him. That's on him with personnel decisions, particularly at quarterback, and not bringing somebody in to compete there. But at the same time, when you line up to kick a 30-yard field goal in this league, you got to have guys that you can count on to do that. When you start every drive at the 10 instead of the 25, because almost every game you're giving away a drive through a holding or a block in the back on special teams, that's killer. And, that ultimately that comes down to discipline, and you can lay that at the feet of the coaches too. But, you also got to have some guys that just do right and just don't make mistakes as often as Auburn makes them. And, we've got to improve there exponentially. Special teams has hurt us significantly this year, almost as much as quarterback play.
Rob, in regards to the quarterback situation this weekend against the Warhawks, it appears that Peyton Thorne probably not going to play. That's the way Hugh Freeze has kind of worded it this week during his press opportunities. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for this Auburn football team, in particular for this game against the Warhawks?
I think that in the grand scheme of things, it's probably a good thing for the players to see, hey, listen, we're trying something new. Let's see if this is a shot in the arm and infuse some confidence into offense and production, because, I mean, you got to be able to score more than a touchdown. If you're putting up 7 against Vandy, then, you know, you're really a team that probably doesn't deserve to win many games. And, you know, that's something that they have to get corrected, and hopefully bringing somebody in there to be the leader of that offense can spark something. Got to take care of the football, but at the same time, you know, you go into every game, especially if you still have a chance to make a bowl game or to make a statement or to try to turn a narrative here at the end of the season. You got to play the guy that you feel like gives you the best chance of winning. And even if Peyton Thorne makes a lot of mistakes and is a kid that has failed to deliver in so many crunch times, if you feel like that his skill set, maybe against Texas A&M or maybe on the road at Alabama, is a better option, I still think you got to do it, because these games mean something. And, one game can turn the trajectory of a program around quickly. I just don't think Peyton Thorne has given him enough to feel confident that he can make that play. And I think that's why he'll pull the trigger and play somebody else. And I don't think that's a bad decision. I think that's a good one.
A few more moments. Rob Pate talking Auburn. All of our guests join us on the Buyers Right hotline. As we look ahead to the transfer portal, we know it's going to be an active market here in that first window. You're plugged in. Not going to hold you to it like it was gospel because you said it on this show. But what is your best guess as to the maybe shopping through the portal and how high Auburn is willing to go to make sure they get that right guy at quarterback?
You know, when you think back to last year and you take a flyer or a pass on the kid that's at Miami now, Ward, it seems like that would have been awfully inexpensive, for the trajectory of your program, and just the confidence in recruiting and all. If you get a kid like that in to make plays and win football games, so I think it'll be as high as anybody's willing to pay. I think they got to get that position right. They got to get a left tackle, and they got to get some guys that can rush the passer, and they'll be competitive in all those markets.
And some guys that do right?
That's right. Just do right, man. That's my life motto. You do right. Just do right.
And you got to have some dogs, too. Some dogs you can't pet.
Absolutely.
Hey,
we
Rob.
don't have enough of those.
Rob, we always appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. War Eagle.
Rob Pate. Talking Auburn. Love it. Very candid, honest thoughts. He joined us on the Buyers Right hotline for all your insurance, financial, and HR needs. It's Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner. Busy 12 o'clock hour. Brett Norsworthy.
It is 12 noon, Jocks 94.5. Appreciate you tuning us in on this Thursday. You just heard Rob Pate, some just honest. It doesn't get any more honest than what you just heard from Rob Pate about Auburn football. They've got ULM coming up this weekend. Alabama's got Mercer. And then the final 2 weeks, you got Alabama going to Oklahoma next week at this time. Conrad will be packing up, getting ready to get in Boomer's schooner and heading out with the horses to Norman, Oklahoma. We've got you covered.
Just going back to, it's so hard to predict, but what Rob said, and Auburn reportedly taking a pass on Cam Ward in the transfer portal, a guy that they believe they could have had. How many more games do you think Cam Ward would be worth to this Auburn football team this year?
I think it would be dramatically better.
How many more wins?
I mean,
I think you'd be going to a bowl game.
Okay, and that would be an extra game.
For certain.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I think Auburn right now is going to end up 4-8, and if you had Cam Ward, I could see 7-5. You could talk me into that.
I would probably go a little higher.
I'd go higher than that.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think I would, just based on what we've gotten, and again, it's not entirely fair, but what we've gotten with some of the close games that they've had, and games where you just needed that one play, or you didn't need those 4 boneheaded plays or 5 boneheaded plays, I would have to say maybe you start at 7-5 as the floor, and then potentially you're looking at a 9-3.
Yeah, I was thinking
you're going to beat Cal.
8-4 would be a really good spot, but I could see potentially 9.
Yeah, you beat Oklahoma. You beat Missouri.
I was about to say, I think you beat Cal, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri.
Vandy.
Yeah, I mean, on it. Okay, yeah.
See?
That's fair, yeah.
I think it's dramatically different than what you're seeing now.
And now we know that the honeymoon period is over. So if you have your roster, and then year 3, if we're still talking about a quarterback for Hugh Freeze and that Auburn team. And I realize you have Deuce Knight, who's committed. He's not yet signed. Coming in, you have Hank Brown. But are you not going to go out and try to spend big-time money?
Well, I look at a conversation we've kind of had about Brian Kelly now.
And there's no guarantee that guy's going to come in and take Van Dyke from Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you roll the dice.
Yeah, you never know, or somebody gets a freak injury happens and it kind of derails everything. But, we've kind of been talking about Brian Kelly now after the loss to Alabama of, okay, we gave you a pass at the beginning of we need to get this roster up to where it can compete at the top level in the SEC. Well, now you're year 3, and as we've seen other teams through the transfer portal, by year 3, you should have it figured out. And if you don't, that's kind of on you for the players you've recruited and gotten out of the portal. Now, sometimes, players just end up being a bust, but, that's what Hugh Freeze is in next year is year 3.
And again, I don't put it all on Peyton Thorne, but with a guy like Cam Ward, you got a lot more room for error. And you can overcome whether it's a penalty on a kickoff return and starting at your own 10, as Rob was talking about. But the defense has gotten better as the season has gone along. And I just find it hard to believe if you didn't have one of those elite guys at the quarterback position, especially with the wide receiver talent, and you've been trying to utilize it as much as you can. There's just a lot of things to point to.
I mean, we had heard his name.
Yeah.
I mean, and Cam Ward, once he decided that he was going to be a free agent, everybody immediately pointed towards Auburn. I mean, because Auburn was at Grayson McCall and some other guys that Auburn was
potentially, yeah.
That, I mean, although Peyton Thorne was,
remember
was
Riley Leonard was going to be the guy, and it became a bidding war. And finally, when reportedly Notre Dame reached a certain number, Auburn thought that they already had him, and they said, you know what, we're out of the sweepstakes. Go and enjoy your time.
And there's no secret that Auburn's NIL was heavily fortified towards the recruiting class.
And you had to have that.
Right. So I'm not saying Auburn didn't have the money, but obviously they were trying to be selective with their budgetary means in regards to who they were going to get in what positions.
But right now, and Hugh Freeze is talking about recruiting his own roster right now, right? Mm-hmm. Those offensive weapons that you have and you've recruited, you're going to have to be able to sell them on something other than an unproven guy taking over the reins and learning a new offense. And if you've got somebody else that's going to come in and call plays, with the talent that those guys have and some of the offers that are out there and the money that is paid for elite wide receivers or any position for that matter. Defensive lineman, we know that's where you can really hit it big, according to, was it Nakos that told us?
Yes.
From On3, that a middle of the road defensive tackle is going for $500K. That's the starting point.
Well, just look at the blueprint of what Ole Miss did, which was we're going to throw all of our money towards the defensive line. They got the guys to Oxford. They lead the nation in sacks with 47. You saw what they did as a disruptor against Georgia last weekend. So, yeah, I think a lot more teams are going to try to, if you got the money to do it, then that's the route that they're probably going to go. You spend it on defensive linemen and possibly a quarterback. I think those are the two areas that a lot of people would probably go for.
And we don't have any idea what that's going to look like. Have you seen any names? I guess we're not going to get them. Well, we do know one, Boston College, Thomas Castellanos.
Yep, he's in there.
But you're not going to win the press conference or the post on X or True Social coming from the Auburn football or Blue Sky. What's the other one? Did I miss one?
I think you hit all the.
All right, good. Well, from daily exercisers and youth athletes to elite professionals, UAB Sports and Exercise Medicine treats everyone with the same level of exceptional care. Board-certified professionals, state-of-the-art imaging, and injury prevention programs. Their comprehensive team is here to keep you in the game. Visit uabmedicine.org/sports or call 205-930-8339 to make an appointment. UAB Sports and Exercise Medicine. They sponsor Road to Recovery every Friday at 12:45 here on the show. Dr. Mamaya, he's the chief of sports medicine there. He is going to be joining us tomorrow. But UAB Sports and Exercise Medicine, knowledge moving medicine forward.
If you missed any of our interviews from earlier today, Skip Holtz joined us for 45 minutes in studio. Rodney Orr, Rob Pate. We still have Brett Norsworthy coming up on the program. At 1 o'clock. We will have Bet It or Forget It. So this was just released a few moments ago. So if the college football playoff was played this weekend, the point spreads have been released. If these games would be played this weekend. So I'm going to ask you, let's go around the room and let's see if you guys can give it a pretty good guess here, okay? Oh, a little Price is Right music. Here we go.
Not a kid.
All right. Very nice. Boise State at Ohio State. Oh, a little funky version of Price is Right.
It's the remix.
Wow.
I love you, Bob. All right.
Boise State at Ohio State.
Boise State at Ohio State.
And this is not this is a line from Vegas from a respectable book.
Ohio State minus.
This is so weird.
So weird. 12 and a half.
12 and a half. All right. My interim says 12 and a half. Conrad.
17 and a half.
I was going to go 14, 2 touchdown.
14 and a half. And you know the rules and Price is Right.
Yep.
You can't go over. The closest to that number, if you're under, wins. 19 and a half. Conrad.
I'm so good at this game. We should play the Price is Right every day. I'm so good at it.
All right, next game. Ole Miss at Penn State.
Ole Miss at Penn State. Penn State minus 2.5, Bob.
Okay.
Yeah,
Actually,
this is bizarre. I'm sorry. I didn't know this is what we were getting.
This is.
Oh.
Even Molly doesn't.
I just listened to the beginning of it and I was like, this sounds good. It sounds normal.
It's too late to change it out, right?
It is. I'm sorry.
Molly's got a dance routine to it over
Yeah,
here.
I'm sorry. We won't use this one again.
Molly was about to give her answer before you rudely interrupted her.
I'm sorry, Molly. Go
I'm
ahead.
going to go Ole Miss 2.5.
Ole Miss 2.5. You said Penn State 2.5?
Yeah.
And you said Ole Miss 2.5. Okay.
Penn State minus 1.
Penn State minus 1. I don't know how we're going to do this, but it's a pick 'em.
She's under.
Technically.
We'll give it to Molly.
Okay.
Because
All right.
Conrad interrupted.
So Molly and Conrad tied 1-1. Two more
Music's
games
very
remaining.
distracting.
Notre Dame at Tennessee.
Notre Dame at Tennessee. I suck at this game. -2. Tennessee.
Tennessee -2. Okay.
I'll go -6.
Tennessee -6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you looked at me when I said Ohio State.
I was going to go Tennessee -6 too. I'll go Tennessee -5.
Tennessee -3.
Dadgummit. Really?
Man.
That one's kind of surprising to me. Okay.
So how about this? We're down to the final game.
And we all have
Everybody's got
gotten one right.
one. This is for
Ooh.
the championship of Price is Right on this Thursday.
And it's the Alabama game, isn't it?
It is Alabama at Indiana.
Oh.
This will decide who goes to the Showcase Showdown. You get a free foosball table and a trip to Acapulco.
I'll be honest, I will recuse myself because I know the answer to this one.
Do you really?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Because I do my diligent note taking.
Okay.
This is one time that you forgetting it is actually acceptable.
Yeah, there you go.
Better to forget it
Glad it
coming
pays
up
out
at
for
1.
you.
Yeah.
All right, Molly, it's
So
down to me and you.
It's down between Landrum and Molly. Text me make sure you got it right.
And you said it's Alabama at Indiana?
Alabama in Bloomington.
Okay. I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to go Alabama 10.5.
You said
Alabama -10.5.
okay.
Was I correct? I wasn't. Oh, it's different.
It's different than the number you just gave me.
Okay. Well, then I guess I can play.
No.
You said 10.5.
So Molly's got Bama 10.5. I need to write this down.
I will go Alabama -11.
Ooh.
Oh, I see what you're doing here.
It's about to say you had two options, either 9 or 11.
As of this moment, if the Alabama Crimson Tide was to take on the undefeated Indiana Hoosiers in Bloomington, Indiana, the point spread would be, make sure I read this right, Alabama would be a 6.5 point favorite.
Really?
6.5.
Do we get a bonus?
What did Conrad guess?
Come on, we can't.
He
The
said
one I saw
5.
was 5.
He said Bama
Okay.
5.
I saw someone put that
Do you
line
have
out the other
you
day.
have another? Just give us another game. I want to go to the showdown.
Give us the hypothetical BYU versus Ole Miss in the second round.
You know, my original answer it would not have worked. Was going to be Alabama -8, -9. But then Molly threw 10.5 in there, and I was like,
Kind of surprises me.
I wonder how much they maybe factored in a potential weather situation.
I think that's part of it, probably.
Because
I think
I
that's
would've-
part of it with Penn State as well.
Immeasurable's heart. No, I'm serious. Indiana, they play more like a team than anybody else I've seen this season outside of the service academies.
Burn this tape, by the way. Don't ever play this music.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
We're
it's
not ever
terrible.
doing this again. Yeah, we're done. We're done. Sorry. It was bad. It sounded fine when I listened to the first 10 seconds of it, and then it got all funky.
It's like somebody,
Sorry,
I
Bob.
don't even know what that's like. Somebody dropped something psychedelic in our drink. I think that team took a bad turn.
Yeah.
What was that? What is it labeled?
Price is Right.
Because every now and then you get the Bob Barker soundbite that was in there.
Get that one out of the system real
All right,
quick.
thank you.
That was
Flush it.
Yeah, that was distracting.
Okay. So
Wait,
no
so did
other-
Landrum win?
No, I don't have it. I don't.
no.
Yeah. Well, no, technically.
Oh, did I?
Well, no, you went over.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah,
I
that's
went
right.
over.
Molly
yeah.
won.
I went over.
So everybody tied.
Hey, Molly.
No, we tied.
Oh, we died. Oh, well.
That's all right. We got
That's
better
not
forget it
fun.
coming up at 1:00.
Yes.
I can't tie.
That's a tough week too.
When it comes to plumbing, always have a pro on standby. That's Iron Mountain Drains and Plumbing, rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. They're family owned and operated. They handle everything. Call Jeremy Purvis and the crew today at 205-516-4927. Faucet repairs, water heater maintenance, commercial plumbing, sewer line repairs, and so much more. One call will do it all. That number again, 205-516-4927. or go to ironmountainworld.com.
We are 15 minutes away from one of our favorite visits every single week, Brett Norsworthy, recapping what happened in Oxford, the chances for a college football playoff, and there's any chance we have a letdown with the Ole Miss Rebels in their final regular season games. Three-man front, Jocks 94.5.
In about 10 minutes, Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ Radio, the Ole Miss Radio Network. He will join the program at 1 o'clock. We'll have a special edition of Bet It or Forget It, as Molly will be in Los Angeles getting ready for USC and Nebraska. That game going on at the Coliseum, the home of the 2028 Olympiad coming up. So it should be a fun time. Unfortunately, Conrad had to get his money back because Molly would not run on the field I had someone text me earlier and asked if you were doing that. And I said, legality's got in the way. And
She's
Molly
got turf toe, let's be honest.
Yeah, Molly was not going
It's
to be able to.
expensive.
Well, he was paying for it.
Yeah, my bank account's now got a hold on my account because I haven't gotten the money back. So now I'm out like $1,200, Molly.
I'm sorry.
Dang.
Well, as we move on through football season and the weather cools, make sure your HVAC system is ready for the cold weather on the way. For long-term reliability, a Train home comfort system is your answer. And to give you peace of mind right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor with select Train comfort systems. So to learn more, go and visit train.com.
So a story came out on Sunday afternoon about how the NFL is now eyeing 8 international games in 6 countries next season. The NFL plans on playing international regular season games in Ireland, Mexico, Brazil, Spain, Germany, and the United Kingdom in 2025. Roger Goodell, he confirmed that on Sunday. A game in Madrid has already been announced. The NFL also will return to London for several games, as well as playing at least once in Germany. Speaking Sunday morning on the NFL Network's NFL Game Day in Germany, Goodell said that the league also expects to return to Brazil, where it debuted in Sao Paulo in September, and Mexico City. It last played there in 2022. I think they had stadium issues there in Mexico City. Did you remember the turf? The stadium was all messed up, and then they had to redo the stadium and get new turf or whatever the case may be. So they're returning back to Mexico City. Now, in the future, additional countries in which the NFL could play games include Australia, France, Italy, and even the Middle East. The league is also exploring selling broadcast to those international games as part of a new TV package that could bring in more than $1 billion to the NFL owners.
As long as I don't have to pay extra to watch more NFL games, because it's already hard enough to, if you want to watch all of them.
Yeah.
Whew.
So what do you guys think? Australia? It's been odd to me that they've never played in Australia.
That would be cool. That would make sense.
France?
Yeah, but you could have it. I don't know how you would construct it, but if there's a way that you could play, like, during the Olympics, when you had the beautiful setting with the Eiffel Tower in the background. I know a football stadium's a little different than that, but.
Italy?
Is there a hunger for the NFL in France?
See, that's what I just.
Oui.
Bonjour.
I don't know.
No.
Germany, yes. Because you also think about the old days of the World League of American Football. I mean, Amsterdam had her team. Scotland had a team. London had a team. Frankfurt, Germany had a team. Berlin had a team. Don't remember one being in France.
My vote would be Ireland over France, because you have the Aviva in Ireland.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Italy. But there's a reason why they're looking at these other countries, because probably looking at sales of merchandise and things of that nature. But I'd never heard, and they didn't go into detail about a potential Middle East game. Where in the world would you put one in the Middle East?
Yeah, that one seems like that might be a little bit of a tough sell in terms of getting people to go over there. I know you're trying to grow the sport in other countries, but.
And the reason I'm thinking that is because most Middle Eastern countries do not sell alcohol. That's one of the reasons why a lot of those places did not host the World Cup in years past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with...
I just feel like you might get some pushback from players on that one.
Yeah, no word in this story where in the Middle East that they would be looking at. But as Molly mentioned, Aviva Stadium, they're in Dublin. Also, Croke Park in Dublin has been mentioned as a potential location. The league is looking to stage the Germany game in Berlin after playing the games in Frankfurt and Munich.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Participating teams were not announced, although multiple reports have linked the Steelers to the Ireland game.
Okay.
The Jags have played 13 games in London.
Nobody wants to watch them anymore.
Over 12 years. 13 games in 12 years, including 2 games this season and last.
Again, it's the low-hanging fruit, but if you want to grow the product in other countries, don't send the worst franchises over there every year to promote the sport.
Yeah, seeing the now again, I had Dr. David Redpath, who's a frequent contributor to this program and the Paul Feinbaum show. He was actually at the game in Germany this last weekend with the Panthers and the Giants. And that's another one that,
according to the story in the AP, and this is from 2022, Germany had edged Great Britain or England for avid fans. They estimated around 3.5 million avid fans, where Germany was also slightly more as far as what they labeled casual fans, which was around 17 million. And looking at any type of chart where they've gone and they've done research as far as who in Europe watches football, France shows up nowhere.
Nowhere.
Not saying there's not fans, but I don't think it's not near what you have there in England and also in Germany.
Yeah, I mean, and I go back to the World League of American Football.
Yeah.
You had plenty of folks in the Netherlands, in Germany, in England that was about it, but not so much those other places.
And more games like last year when you had like the Chiefs and the Dolphins, right? I think people are going to be more excited for that than a Giants and Panthers.
Yeah, well, those are two big brands. I mean,
exactly. I'm not saying you have to constantly send them over there, but send the Cowboys over there one time. Stuff like that will really get people excited.
When we come back, Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ Radio in Memphis, the Ole Miss Radio Network. He will join us, talk a little SEC football. This is Jocks 94.5. Welcome back to Three Man Front on this Thursday. It's always a joy to catch up with Brett Norsworthy, one of the voices of the Ole Miss Rebels. You can hear him weekdays on WHBQ Radio there in Memphis. Brett, I hope you're doing well on this Thursday.
I am, Pat. I love the intro music. Time to play B-sides, isn't it?
There's no doubt about that. Conrad spinning the hits today here on Three Man Front. Okay, so let's go back to the big one there at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. It was your I ain't scared bold prediction last week. I'm a little disappointed. You got the point total correct in regards to the difference between Ole Miss win over Georgia. You didn't get the exact score right, so I'm not going to browbeat you about that. But my goodness, just what a beatdown of the Dogs last week.
It was thorough. It was 18-point margin. That's a pretty big number in the Ole Miss world. I had 35-17. It fell on 28-10. And I will say this, and it's a lot of respect for Kirby Smart and what he's built at Georgia. That was the least last Saturday Ole Miss could have won by. It really should have, could have been more. We'll take that. I'll tell you right now, I don't fear them at all. If Ole Miss had to run into Georgia somewhere in a postseason college football playoff bracket, they're good. I think they'll beat Tennessee this week. But it's the least best Kirby team since he's gotten into this vintage of great teams. They're good, but they're just not what they have been the last few years. They've got glaring question marks, and Ole Miss was able to exploit those, and it was mostly up front on defense. And I thought it would be. I thought it would come down to the big guys, and that's what Lane Kiffin and the Grove Collective went out and got in college football free agency. Yeah, everybody. I love people that kind of want to deride Ole Miss of a bought team, and they went out and bought a defense. I will remind everybody again, it's legal now, and I just don't think some of them like that Ole Miss is capitalizing on it.
All right, so let me ask you about Jackson Dart, because just take us through when he went out with the high ankle injury, and let me tell you, his backup looked sharp. A left-handed quarterback, man. I liked what I saw, but Jackson Dart is showing his toughness, getting it wrapped up, coming back out, and being as effective as he was. Just take us through that injury and what was going on during the broadcast with people around you with Jackson Dart's injury.
Well, it was just a nightmarish beginning, and Georgia quickly out to that 7-0 lead. But I liked how the defense stood tough in making them compete, even for that 7-0 lead. And then the answer back with Austin Simmons, the lefty, came in, and boy, he was slinging it. And it's illustrative, Pat, of what I try to tell people. Lane Kiffin is very much looking forward to the future at Ole Miss. He's very much looking forward to Austin Simmons and others coming in and playing quarterback. He's always going to recruit a quarterback. He's going to coach them hard. He's going to give them nothing. There will be no depth charts. Ask Jackson Dart, who had to battle with Luke Altmaier for first string when he finally became the first string quarterback, even started opening day of 2022. And then the second game Luke Altmaier started, he never let him be comfortable. Last year in August camp and this year, of course, he was listed as the starter, but it was always competitive in spring. And back to the week before, Pat, at Fayetteville, when you had some in the Arkansas media saying that Ole Miss ran it up and they shouldn't have been in there, throwing the ball in the fourth quarter. Well, first of all, Lane was throwing in the fourth quarter against Arkansas when he had Dart in to get him the single game record. As soon as he passed the record mark, he took him out with about 10.5 minutes to play. That's almost the full quarter of the fourth quarter. Then he put in Simmons, and he ran his offense. And you saw him complete a touchdown pass to Daquan Wright in that game. For this reason, what if we got to have him next week against Georgia or at Florida or in the Egg Bowl or in the playoffs or whatever, and to give him laps around the track? It wasn't running it up on anybody. He ran his offense, and as long as that other team is blitzing, he's going to keep throwing it over your head.
Brett Norsworthy joining us here on Three Man Front. All of our guests join us on the Buyers Right hotline. Ole Miss, as it stands right now, they would be in the college football playoff. Alabama, there's a collection of teams. We've been going through the different scenarios because there's still games left, meaningful games left on that SEC slate. What is your total number of teams that you're predicting at this moment, and who do you believe gets left out?
I'm going to stay with the four, the four for the Big Ten, the four for the SEC. It's felt for a few weeks. Preseason, I was at 5, and that was a little bit SEC homer in the heat of the moment in Dallas at media days and in the run up to college football. I readily admit that. But now when we settle in and we're on the verge of it, we all got to sober up a little bit. And I think it'll be 4. And I think the one that will be left out will be Saturday's loser, and I think that's going to be Tennessee. Now, let Notre Dame get upset, and I don't know that UVA can upset them. I don't know that Army can. I don't even know if USC can Thanksgiving weekend. But if Notre Dame were to get upset, it definitely makes it a comfortable, no sweater for sure for the SEC and maybe 5. But I think those 4 Big Ten teams are set, unless Ohio State beat Indiana next weekend, 55-0. But Indiana's not losing to Purdue for the Old Oak and Bucket game. So I think the 4 from the Big Ten are in, and I think 3 of the 4 from the SEC are in, unless there's a major upset. What if Texas didn't, not only lost to A&M, but really got whipped by A&M? What's Texas's biggest win? I know everybody immediately would go to at Michigan, but you could argue their best win was at Vandy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not going to have any argument from these guys.
Yeah. I mean, so, how good is Texas? I don't think Arkansas can upset Texas Saturday, but it won't be 28-3 at halftime, and it will be a fourth quarter game, unlike the Ole Miss game was against Arkansas in Fayetteville 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so as you're sitting there watching the results, not election night, but the other night with the college football playoff, but when you're watching that, when did you openly laugh or scream at your television? What team that popped up in the ranking probably annoyed you the most?
Pat, honestly, I didn't watch. Went out to eat with 2 friends of mine.
Good for you.
Take my phone to dinner with me. Not worried about it. We got 3 more weeks of this Tuesday night show. I don't think it's necessary. It's all going to fall out the way it's going to fall out. Of course, when I got home, I read up on it and studied up on it. I don't know if I had a real laughing stock team. I do think it was some confirmation, though, to what I've said all year about the SEC. It's really, really good. I would love for people that want to pick at it or something to take a loop on it and play these games. Go to Columbia, South Carolina. Play these games. Play in these atmospheres. Play against these ball players. And I think it's really, really good, but I don't think it's peak vintage. All 3 of us, all 4 of us, Conrad, all your great listeners, we've all seen the SEC better than it is this year. It's still good, but it's been more vintage than this. It would have been better it would have had more teams in a college football playoff if we went back and had 12 all these years. That would be fun summertime radio. We wouldn't want to do it too much, but like every 2 weeks, in June, or twice in June, pick out a year, 1997, and what would the college football playoff have looked like that year? 2008. 2008, we know who would have benefited from a college football playoff. It would have been Nick Saban when he got Alabama rolling instead of having to go down to the Sugar Bowl and play Utah, and not just because they got handled by Utah, but there was nothing left to play for. Would Andre Smith have really checked out that year like he did for the Sugar Bowl if it had been a playoff? I doubt. So it's good this year in the SEC, and it was confirmed the other night. You saw those top teams being from the Big Ten. We're good. We're not that good this year.
Brett, and this seems like kind of a simple question, but I'll ask you, the way that Ole Miss has played, especially in their last 2 games, going to Fayetteville, putting up that big number, dominating a Georgia team, we don't have a bracket. You still got games to play. But would you agree that based on the way that Ole Miss is playing, and now maybe we haven't even seen their ceiling yet at this point in the season, how dramatically in your mind have the Rebels' chances increased or changed in playing for at least a national title?
Landrum, I think we can win it all, and we're not alone. There are a couple. Alabama can. I think Georgia still can if they get in. I think Texas can, but I'm a little more reserved about Texas than those others. But there's not a single team out there. Even Oregon, even the possibility, I don't think would have to go to Oregon or might have to go to Columbus. Bring it on. I'd be fine with it. I don't know that Ole Miss would win all those games, but there's not any team I look at and go, no, that's the one we just can't compete against. because what's been accomplished on the defensive front. When I look at the bracket, if I could just have a dream scenario, I think I would want the 8th seed. Obviously, that would get you home field advantage that weekend of the games on campus. And I would like to play the 9, either being Notre Dame or Indiana. And might even have to be the 9 going to play those as the 8. Either one, fine. And then that would bracket you into probably the number 1 national seed will be Oregon, and that would be Ole Miss in the Rose Bowl. And I'm not responsible for anything I do or say if I go to Pasadena.
Brett Norsworthy joins us, WHBQ Radio in Memphis, Tennessee. You can hear him weekday afternoons and also on the weekends on the Ole Miss Radio Network. Okay, your thoughts on Alabama. Going to Baton Rouge, a place that you were there. LSU did not lead Ole Miss until the final play of the game. Just how impressive was that win for Bama against the Tigers?
It was very, and LSU may be the prototype for what I was saying about the league this year. They're really, really good. We've all seen better LSU teams than this. Ole Miss got beat. LSU won. Congratulations. They were better. When the game was over, they won. That means you're better. But we played better LSU teams through the year. Heck, last year with Jaden Daniels was better, and Ole Miss never could get to Garrett Nussmeier, and Alabama could. Ole Miss never really could get the quarterback keeper going. Jalen Milroe got it cooking early, and maybe had his best game ever at Alabama. And that number of now that Alabama has more wins at Tiger Stadium than LSU has in the series is maybe the best number of the year, because for everybody else, except for Alabama, it is big, bad Tiger Stadium. But for Alabama, it's Kitty Cat Stadium.
Love it. Brett Norsworthy joining us here on 3-Man Front. I am curious, do you have plans to go back home to watch the big showdown with Texas and Arkansas, or can I expect you there at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium on Saturday night?
Well, I'm going to pass on both for this reason, Lander, because Friday night will be the only time I get to go to Tiger basketball all year, and I want to go see Memphis play Ohio. I'm sorry I'm going to miss you, but I know you're busy. I know it's a busy time of year for you. When I saw that game get kicked to 7, I said, well, I know Landrum's working Friday night at high school and then driving in on Saturday. And I'm not going to Fayetteville for this reason. I was a freshman in 1981. Number 1 Texas came to town, and Arkansas just didn't have a prayer against them. The week before, Texas had mauled OU in Red River. Arkansas had lost to TCU. And the next week, number 1 Texas came in, and the Razorbacks won 42-11, October 17th, 1981, the single best day for me in college. And I have said since then, I will never go back to another Arkansas-Texas game at Fayetteville, because it's no way it can be topped, and I wouldn't want anything to mar that memory. It was that fun. It was that special. I came in late that night, borrowed my roommate's car. My parents wouldn't let me have a car as a freshman. Very wise decision on their part. And I borrowed my roommate's car to take my date home. I was coming down Maple to turn left on Stadium Drive about 4:30 in the morning. Median blood alcohol somewhere in the high teens. Unfortunately, I'm sad to report, but it was. And when I turned left down Stadium Drive, the south end zone scoreboard was still on. Arkansas 42, Texas 11.
Wow. Oh, he is the one and only Brett Norsworthy. Brett, you are hotter than a $3 pistol with your I ain't scared bold prediction. Yeah, well,
he scared us. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, there was everyone taking a collective sigh here.
Conrad feverishly getting to the dump button.
Yeah. Your I ain't scared bold prediction for the weekend. Who is it?
I've won. I'm 7-5 this year, and 6 of those 7 wins have been straight up. So this one I'm not calling straight up. I am scared of that, but I ain't scared of the pick. I think it's scary late, and I'm going to take UL Monroe plus all those points against Auburn. And if UL Monroe wins the game, then y'all on Monday and all of us start a different and serious conversation.
Do not disagree with that. If that
happens, we will have Monroe's head coach on Monday as well, and Coach Brian Vincent, a friend of the show. I'm not going to go against you. We got our Better to Forget It coming up 15 minutes from now, because Molly's heading out to L.A. to watch USC and Nebraska. on
How about
Saturday.
that game?
Yeah.
What a setting! What about those helmets and that setting at the Coliseum? Way to go, Molly! That's great. That's a great.
Oh, she's
tip.
pumped.
I'm so excited.
She is so excited to go watch the
You should
Trojans
be,
beat her
Molly.
Cornhuskers.
No, don't say that.
No, and look at USC and
Crushing
really
dreams, Pat.
look at
That's what I do.
LSU from that USC loss.
Yeah. Well, USC, they still have some games. Nebraska's got games. Who
They
has
do.
more to play for? I feel like USC, maybe they've phoned it in, and maybe Nebraska has more to
I
play
think
for.
so too.
Absolutely.
And I find it interesting that you hear the scuttlebutt that Lincoln Riley has let people know that if the right deal kind of back in this part of the country came up, he would listen.
I thought Lincoln Riley was going to be the Cowboys head coach. Remember that? Remember that a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I do remember that. He didn't make it that far. There was one great Oklahoma head coach once upon a time that won a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. It was Barry Switzer. It wasn't Lincoln Riley.
Yep, that's right. Well, Brett, enjoy your off week as you get ready for the onslaught of the final few weeks of the regular season. Be safe, my friend, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Thanks, Brett. That's Brett Norsworthy joining us on the Buyer's Right hotline for all your insurance, financial, and HR needs. It's Buyer's Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner.
Let me tell you about Big Whiskey's because they are your place for great food of all varieties with a full menu ranging from apps, salads, burgers to steaks. Their bar features unique cocktails, over 120 whiskeys, including whiskey on tap, and plenty of screens to catch all the games all weekend long. And this holiday season, let Big Whiskey's do all the work for you as they can cater for your business or social party of any size. So go check them out in the Stadium Trace Village off Highway 150 near the Hoover Met.
We are 12 minutes and 27 seconds away from finding out if Landon Roberts is going to continue his hot streak. He went 4-1 against the spread last week, and bet it or forget it. That's coming up at 1 o'clock here on 3 Man Front. I was waiting for the Snoop part to jump in.
Oh, you got to wait for that.
Oh.
Melt your popsicle.
Is that code?
I feel like it is. Conrad, is that code?
What was that?
I'm talking about the drink.
Oh.
Sir, melting popsicle and sex on the beach. Keep it classy, Conrad.
Yeah, way to go, man.
Well, if you're looking to upgrade and enhance your outdoor living area and landscape, our friends at Second Generation Masonry, that's the team for beautifying any area. Their expert team crafts durable brick, concrete, and elegant stone creations that elevate any space. Fire pits, landscape steps, garden walls, stone patios, and walkways. How about an outdoor fireplace just in time for the cold weather? These are your folks. Alabama-based company, over 2 decades in business, folks that you can trust. They specialize in both residential and commercial projects. You can look at a sampling of some of their completed projects at secondgenerationmasonry.com. Get the free quote today and make sure you tell them Landrum from Jocks 24.5 sent you.
So Auburn basketball gets a win last night. They go to 3-0 on the season, 79-56 over Kent State. The Tigers jumped out to a 30-8 lead at the beginning of that game. They went through a little bit of a rough patch there in the first half, but hit 10 of their final 16 shots in the basketball game. They won by 23. They covered. That was the most important thing, right? They covered.
Good teams win, great teams cover.
That's correct. Janai Broom, 18 points, 12 rebounds. Chaney Johnson, the pride of Alabaster, Alabama, 18 points for the Tigers. Auburn's three-point shooting, though, an area that you should pay attention to. They struggled against Houston. They were 7 of 23. Last night, they were 6 of 24 against Kent State, but a win's a win. And it gets even more difficult moving forward. Some very tough games coming up for both Alabama and Auburn as the non-conference season ramps up.
We do have American Athletic Conference football tonight. This is a tough one. East Carolina going on the road to take on a bad Tulsa team. East Carolina is a 15-point favorite. Are you going to play this game?
If it was in North Carolina,
yes,
I would. But playing in Tulsa, no, I am not.
Squirrely stuff happens.
I'm not inclined. Is it 15.5? Is that the current spread?
15.
15. Ooh.
Over under at 63. Yeah, I got too many questions about that game.
No, I'm not touching it. Now, the NFL game, completely different story there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're loving the Commanders.
You better believe it. Did you know it's been almost a full calendar year since the Eagles have covered at home? They are 0-6.
I know, I'm with you.
What's the current? Is it 4 or 3.5?
Let me pull it up.
I love the Commanders. Love them.
And I really
4.
I really like watching the Commanders this year. They've been a great story. It's just, again, they're like the Dolphins the last couple of years, man. They're really good at beating up on the teams that aren't going to be in the playoffs, and then when they play the big boys, it just doesn't go super well.
Brian Robinson's back tonight, right?
He's supposed to be, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Should be a great game, nonetheless. I mean, if it's anything like last week's game, going to be a treat.
Let's go to our buddy Lee. Lee, welcome into 3-Man Front.
Hey, thanks, guys. And all I want to say is, and let me ask you this, and I'm being serious because y'all have always been totally 100% honest with me every time I've ever called you up about the Florida Gators. I know that's not what you're talking about right now, but I just have to know, do y'all really think that giving Billy Napier one more year is going to help him out or not, first of all? Do you think that he'll be able to turn it around next year, looking at what the Gators have this year and what they got coming back?
Define turn it around.
Actually have a winning record and go to a bowl game.
Yes.
Yes. I agree with Landrum.
Now,
okay, but
that doesn't mean double-digit wins, but I think Florida, they could have a winning record next year, 7-5.
Oh, cool. Well, that'll be an improvement from what they have this year. So,
but I don't know if that's going to. I don't know, Lee, if that's going to pacify a lot of the people, though. I mean, you still owe him $20-something million, and you've got a situation developing with the basketball coach. The athletic director, I think, is on the hot seat. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen. I personally believe Billy Napier is a good football coach. Now, does that mean that he's a good CEO of an SEC program? Well, so far he has not been. But I think he's deserving of at least one more opportunity.
Okay. Well, I was hoping you'd say that. And one thing I want to say also, if Molly can hear me, as we speak right now, I am driving down the Tom Osborne Expressway in Nebraska.
Oh, no way.
Yep. So I thought that might make you happy. Yeah.
It does.
Mention Molly's name. Somebody will buy you lunch.
Yeah. Get you a Runza, because we haven't had one here on the we haven't had one on the show.
Yep.
Yep. I'm just outside Broken Bow, Nebraska.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. I had a sorority sister from there.
So,
I knew it was coming.
Well, Lee, be
cool.
careful.
Okay. So will do, guys. Thanks very much. Y'all got the best show on earth. So
Thanks, Lee.
great work.
Safe travels.
Thanks, Lee.
We're going to do some Bet It or Forget It next on Three Man Front. It is 1 o'clock here on Three Man Front. Thanks for tuning us in. Take us along wherever you go. Jocks FM, download the app. You get the app, you can watch us, you can listen. Take us along wherever you go. It's Black Friday all month long at Courtesy GMC. Save up to $15,000 off MSRP on remaining 2024 GMC Sierras in stock. These trucks are very desirable elevation premium package with the X31 four-wheel drive off-road package. How about saving up to $9,000 off MSRP on 2024 Yukons and Yukon XLs? They're starting to sell out there at Courtesy GMC. You need to take advantage of this wonderful deal on both the Sierras and the Yukons and the Yukon XLs. Have you seen the brand new body style of the 2024 GMC Canyon? The midsize truck is incredible. Great looking exterior, premium interior, and unmatched technology. 10% MSRP on all 2024 Canyons all month long at Courtesy GMC. It's Black Friday sale all month long in November. Go by and see Drew Lawley, Josh Gargis, the fine team there at Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Don't drive anywhere else. Drive right there to Trussville, Courtesy GMC. Visit them online at courtesybirmingham.com.
All right, let's get right to it. Hate this week's slate of games. This is Bet It or Forget It.
The following is for entertainment purposes only. Listener discretion is advised.
Three-man fronts. Bet it or forget it.
Okay, so for the purposes of the standings, Landrum had an incredible week last week. He went 4-1. He is now one game above 500 for the season. He is 28-27.
8 out of my last 10 documented here on the show.
Ooh, okay. Molly and Conrad went 3-2 last week.
Woo.
So Conrad now finds himself with a 27-27 record because he was pansy one week.
He could be tied right now.
I'm only 7-3 over the last 2 weeks, not 8-2 like you. Your
Exactly.
Holiness.
That's right.
I think you should forget the games. You're already criticizing the games that Pat took the time to pick the games.
That's
for us
where
and
you're wrong.
complaining
That's
about
where you're
them.
wrong. Pat takes pride when I hate the games.
Yes. That's my goal in life each week is for one, if not all of you, to hate the games that I picked. I actually thought you guys would come back and go, oh, these are easy.
Don't hate the player, hate the games.
I thought you guys would come back and go, this is 5-0 week. This is stupid. Let's do 10 games.
Landrum's going to need those 10 games to catch up after this week.
Oh,
Molly's in last place.
stinky fish
Yay.
boy.
She's 27-28.
I'm only one game back.
Well, that's because you actually
I play every game.
had the bravery
Yeah.
to play every game.
We're still doing that, huh?
Yeah, we're not going to forget that one.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the wonderful state of California. The Nebraska Cornhuskers head to the famed historic location, home of 2 Olympics, home currently of the USC Trojans, one-time home of the Los Angeles Rams.
Where popsicles melt, sex on the beach.
USC is a 9.5-point favorite. 51.5 is the point total against the Huskers. Nebraska has hit the game total under in 7 of its last 11 games. USC has covered the spread in 5 of its last 6 games at home. USC's last 3 home games have gone over the total. Let's start with Conrad.
Ooh, this one is tricky, Molly. Because I had 2 strong leans in this game. I like Nebraska as well as the under. But I think with the injury, the fact Dylan Raiola is not 100%, it seems like USC is changing quarterbacks. I'm going to take Nebraska plus 9.5. I just think that's too many points for a USC team that's really struggled here lately. And I know Nebraska has too. But a new quarterback going up against this Nebraska defense. Give me Nebraska to cover. I'm not going to say they're going to win outright, but I like them to cover.
All right, Landrum, how about you? You going to bet it or forget it?
I'm going to bet the game, as I always do. Molly does as well. Same train of thought that Conrad had. I was leaning towards the under. I do think that this game goes under if Nebraska keeps it within the 9.5. But I will go Nebraska. I think they got more to play for. I'll take the Corn Shuckers plus 9.5.
Molly, I assume you will play this game.
Of course I will play this game. Yeah, Nebraska, they're going to cover. And you know what? I hope they put up a fight in California because A, I'm going to be in attendance and I would love to see a big win. And B, I want to go to a bowl game. Just please, we've been so close. We started off 5-1, now we're 5-4. But yes, I bet. Whatever, come on, Nebraska, I beg of you. Matt Rule, I beg of you. Dana, please.
Dana.
Anyone?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Dylan Raiola, I will say he did have a great week of practice and he is healthy.
Did
he did,
Okay.
allegedly.
Well, that's good.
So that's good. But yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Nebraska, all the way.
All right. Game number 2. Texas, 13.5-point favorite at Arkansas. 57.5 is the point total. Texas is 2-5 straight up and 1-6 against the spread in its last 7 games played against Arkansas. And that dates back to the 1990s. Both teams are 6-3 this year against the spread. Arkansas is 10-4 against the spread with 2 outright wins in 14 games as a double-digit underdog under Sam Pittman's 5-year tenure. The Hogs are 5-0 against the spread with 1 outright win in their last 6 such spots. This is a tricky one. Well, let's start with Landrum. You going to bet it or forget it? Texas minus 13.5.
Yeah. Sark, he was asked about his press conference, and he remembers year 1 and going in there and just getting outclassed, getting out physical by a Sam Pittman Arkansas team in Reynolds Razorback Stadium. Earlier kickoff would have helped. It will help. I actually think Texas, with all the question marks, last week was strong, but they've got something to prove this week. Give me the Horns minus 13.5.
All right, Molly, how about you?
Landrum, I like that thought process because I have the exact same pick. I also like Texas to cover here because, at this point, they're pretty much looking at the rest of the SEC, and a lot of these teams already have 2 losses. And I know they still have Texas A&M ahead, and they're looking forward to that. But if they want to be the top dogs in the SEC, obviously they cannot afford another loss. So I think, pressure on the line. I think they're going to go in and handle business. So give me Texas.
Yeah, I also like Texas in this one. I just think that with Taylon Green being a little banged up, Jaquindon Jackson, still not sure if he's going to be able to come back. He's been out since the Tennessee win. It's just been an ugly stretch for Arkansas. I'm not going to sit here and predict Texas to score 60+ necessarily, but I'm not going to be surprised if this game looks similar to what Ole Miss did to Arkansas a couple weeks ago. So I like Texas big.
All right, game number 3. LSU is a 4.5-point favorite at Florida. 55.5 is the point total. LSU is 6-1 straight up, 5-2 against the spread versus the Gators since 2017. In that span, LSU has covered the last 4 in a row against Florida. As a head coach in college football, Brian Kelly has played 19 career games after getting blown out by 20+ points. He is 12-7 straight up and 13-6 against the spread in the game after being blown out. So let's start with you, Molly. LSU 4.5 at Florida.
This is probably the game I hate the most this week. And I'm leaning towards the under in this one, and I know history says otherwise, but the reason why is because I don't like either one of these quarterbacks. And I didn't pick Florida to cover last week, but I'm sad that they didn't cover because that truly was just heartbreaking. But if Lagway can play, but that's the thing. He's banged up. Again, Nuss throws it to the other team too much. I like the under in this one. I don't think there's going to be a lot of offense in this game.
All right, under 55.5. How about you, Conrad?
I'm going to play LSU in this game. I think that a lot of what Molly said, you do have some hesitation with the quarterbacks. Lagway's still questionable. I love LSU 4.5 if Aiden Warner's the quarterback for Florida because he does not look like he's ready for SEC football. And I think LSU, realizing they still have, granted, a very slim chance, but they do have a chance to make it to Atlanta and potentially get into the CFP. I think they're fired up after the loss to Alabama. Give me LSU minus 4.5.
I think Florida at their best, their defense is better than LSU's, but I do think because of Jalen Milroe making them look so bad last week with his legs, Lagway coming off the injury, we don't know how good he's going to be. There'll be extra emphasis put on the quarterback. And as much as I want to take LSU in this series, I'm like Molly. History would indicate otherwise, but I actually like the under in this game, under 55.5.
Game number 4, Tennessee is at Georgia. Georgia's a 10.5-point favorite. 48.5 is the point total. Kirby Smart is 12-3 straight up, 9-6 against the spread. The game after a straight-up Georgia loss, including 11-1 straight up, 7-5 against the spread when listed as a favorite in the very next game. The under has hit in 8 of the Georgia Bulldogs' last 12 games as a favorite. The Bulldogs are 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 games, though. Not very good. The total went over in 8 of Tennessee's last 12 games versus the Georgia Bulldogs. So let's start with you, Conrad. You going to play it, bet it, or forget it?
I'm going to bet it. This game is tricky. Nico, is he going to play? How healthy is he if he does play? I could see Georgia blowing out Tennessee. I could see Tennessee blowing out Georgia. I could see either of these teams winning by a field goal, honestly. I think there's a lot of variables in how this game could play out, but I know it's on the road and Tennessee hasn't looked as good, but 10.5 is a lot. Georgia still turns the ball over. I'm going to trust that Tennessee is able to keep this one close. I think Georgia wins, but I like Tennessee to cover the 10.5.
All right, how about you, Mr. Roberts?
I'm actually going to take Tennessee plus the points. If they're dialed in, and no matter if Nico, and we think he's going to be good to go in this game, Tennessee's defense is good enough to slow down, even stop that Georgia offense, unless they're bringing some guys out that we haven't seen all season. I'd like Tennessee to keep this one close. I think Georgia gets the win, but I'll take Tennessee in that big number.
I like where your heads are at.
Thank you.
Because I was also thinking about Tennessee, but I don't want us all to pick the same thing. So I'm actually going to lean the under here again. And I know it's low, 48.5, but I mean, Carson Beck just stresses me out, and Nico was banged up. And, you know, with this being such a big game, and you can say this for any game in the SEC at this point, in this huge playoff implications, I think it'll be lower scoring. I trust both of these defenses more so than I do either offense, especially with their quarterback issues. I mean, Georgia's looked sloppy. Tennessee's offense hasn't showed up in these marquee matchups. I think it'll be lower scoring, so give me the under.
All right, final game of the week, and bet it or forget it. The University of Louisiana Monroe visiting the Plains of Auburn. The Tigers are a 24.5-point favorite. Point total 46.5. The Warhawks this year, they are 6-3 against the spread. Now, Auburn has hit the game total under in 8 of its last 12 games. The Tigers are 3-5 against the spread this season. Let's start with Conrad. You going to bet it or forget it?
I am going to bet it, Pat, and I think that this is Auburn's best shot, clearly, at getting another win before the end of the season. I do think that they get that win. However, this is an Auburn team that has not scored over 24 points since the middle of September, and they are currently favored by 24.5. We don't know what the deal is with Peyton Thorne. Is he going to play? Is he not? I really like what Bryant Vincent's done with this team this year. I think they're competitive. They are looking at this as a gettable SEC game for them. I like Auburn to win, but I like ULM to cover the 24.5.
Molly, what say you?
You know, I would say that there's a few things in this life that are certain, and that's death, taxes, and me picking the under. And I had the same thought process as Conrad in this one. I think that 24.5 is way too big of a number for an Auburn team that, personally, I don't trust. And you know what? I'll pick the under in this one. I'll keep the streak going. I do like ULM to cover as well, but my pick will be the under.
Okay, officially,
for
the record, she takes the under. All right, Landrum. ULM, head coached by a good friend of yours, Bryant Vincent, taking on the Auburn Tigers.
He's summoning his answer.
I was actually taking a nap, doing my best impersonation of taking a nap. That's what I do when I watch Auburn play offense. I take naps, little cat naps. Doesn't take long, like 20, 25 seconds, the drive's over. I'm going to take the under in this game. I'm going to fade Auburn, not going to pick Auburn, but I think Louisiana Monroe, they're going to have a tough time scoring if that Auburn defense continues to trend in the right way. Uncertainty at quarterback, what are we going to get is going to be a heavy dose of Jarquez. I think that Auburn wins this game. They probably get close to covering the spread, but I think we're going under that point total of 46.5.
All right, there you have it. 5 games against the spread, the point total. Best of luck to my compatriots here on three-man front.
Thank you. Train so hard. And it comes down to 5 picks on Saturday.
A lot of unders by Molly.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love the under.
I didn't play a single team total or game total.
That might be to your benefit.
I'm just glad you picked 5 games.
Me too, Pat. Some weeks you're just not feeling up for it. 4 is all I could muster that one time, you know?
Oh. We will do some Pat Ponders later on this hour. This is Three Man Front on Jocks 94.5. It is 121, Jocks 94.5 on this Thursday. Just did a little bet it or forget it. Landrum's feeling awfully cocky about his picks.
No, I'm not really. I decided to do that for Conrad's benefit because he's now
behind you.
Behind me.
Yeah.
But we had 4 of the same picks, so either he's going to be 2 games up next week, or
Did we?
I'm going to flip.
Because I had 2 totals. No, I had.
Okay, never mind. Then we only had 3 of the same.
I had the under in Auburn, Louisiana Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
I had the under in LSU in Florida. And
that's it.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I took Tennessee.
Yeah, okay.
And Nebraska and Texas.
Okay, so we got 2 games to, all right, chop it up, see how it goes.
Yeah.
Good luck, I guess.
Well, good luck if you don't have Evolve IT. When it comes to your technology, don't settle for anything less than a winning team. Evolve IT, they're your trusted local IT partner. At Evolve IT, they're your MVPs for all things tech, like network management, cybersecurity, keeping your business systems running smoothly. No fumbles, no downtime, just expert support right here in Birmingham. Evolve IT is ready to take your tech game to the next level. Find them online, evolvebhm.com. That's evolvebhm.com, or give them a call, 205-749-8970, Evolve IT. Make sure you tell them Landrum from Jock sent you.
So Molly was just showing me during a commercial break. So yesterday, you remember when we were having this conversation about the potential, if a team is favorite, all the favorites win the rest of the season, who's going to be representing the conference in the championship game? And she was just showing me a video that over, close to 50,000, right?
Yeah.
Like 50,000 views of me explaining the tiebreaker scenario and what potentially could happen. And the responses on there was incredible. Now, I threw the caveat out. We're assuming that Texas A&M would be a favorite against Texas. Now, that's not a guarantee that that's going to happen, but just for the purposes of most of the time in those type games, the home team going to be
1.5 point favorite or something.
Possibly, okay? Yeah. So with that being said, and I will say this again, if Texas A&M is favored over Texas, you assume that. If all that happens and the chalk holds, Texas A&M and LSU are playing for the SEC championship based on the conference opponent win percentage. Right now, LSU's would be 531, whereas Alabama's is at 500 currently.
And to clarify, because I've had people calling in during the breaks and things asking how LSU would get in over Alabama because of the head-to-head. But when you have multiple teams
Correct.
with the same record, you go down past the head-to-head.
Correct. Yes, and I'm glad you said that, because based on that scenario I laid out, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, and Ole Miss would all finish with a 6-2 record. That's why you've got to go down to like the 5th tiebreaker, which is, once again, based on conference opponent win percentage. LSU's would be 531, Alabama would be 500, Georgia's would be 437, Texas would be 375, Tennessee would be 359, and Ole Miss would be 390. So that's how that would happen. Now, to even make things even more crazy is if every underdog were to win over the next 3 weeks, then it still would be Texas A&M, and they would play Tennessee. You would have Texas A&M, Tennessee, Arkansas. Texas A&M and Tennessee would be 6-2. Arkansas would be 5-3, Vandy 5-3, and Georgia 5-3. So you would have Oklahoma beating Alabama, and you would have Auburn obviously beating Alabama. And then you'd also have Auburn beating Texas A&M and Alabama.
That'd be a lot of chaos.
I mean, that would be.
But it would also clear things up out of the SEC and who's going to go to a college football playoff.
Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify that in regards to, what potentially was going to happen. Joining us now from VegasMistake.com, our good friend Kevin Todd joins us here on 3 Man Front. Kevin, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, Pat, how are you?
We are doing fantastic, and I know you had a great weekend last week, and I know for those that have not checked out VegasMistake.com, they need to do so because you guys are continuing a hot streak here in college football.
That is correct. And let me tell you here, folks, at VegasMistake.com, we don't believe in parlays or teasers or these high-risk wagers, folks. This is all based on odds prediction. We have a game this week, folks, in college football that is a 3-point underdog and I believe should be a 5-point favorite. The odds makers are off by 8 points in this game, and we're giving it for $19.99. All you need to do is go to vegasmistake.com. You can sign up right over there or give us a call at 866-441-2711. And as always, folks, if I don't win this game on Saturday, I will give you next week free on me. It's $19.99, folks. This game is off by 8 points. It's a 3-point dog, and they're going to win the game outright.
All right, so let's go to Kansas and BYU. BYU, a hot team, 9-0 on the season. Kansas has played better over the course of the last couple weeks, so the Jayhawks will take on the undefeated and heavily ranked BYU Cougars.
Now, if you watched the game last week, BYU escaped against Utah with a late penalty to kick the field goal to win. And they're going on the road, Pat. I should say they're at home, Pat, and they're playing Kansas, who was 3-6. And this game opened up at 3, Pat, and it's now down to 2.5, 2. And the entire public is betting BYU like it's stealing. This is called a reverse lineman, folks. I love Kansas in this matchup here, getting the 2.5 points. They're going to win this game outright. And let me tell you, BYU is only 3-8 against the spread at home with revenge and with, and the way they've been playing, folks, listen, the last couple of games, they've been basically squeaking by and winning these games and winning by penalties and getting a lot of turnovers. But what doesn't make sense here is that this line is it opened up at 3, and it's now down to 2, and all the entire public is betting this game, folks. I'm telling you right now, Kansas is the right side. They're going to win this game outright. Let's take Kansas plus the 2.5, 2, and money line to beat BYU.
There you go. VegasMistake.com. You heard that. Kansas over BYU. All right, let's go to the NFL. You got the Chargers hosting the Bengals. Chargers 6-3 on the season. The Bengals 4-6. What do you like here, Kevin, in regards to this game?
Well, before I get to this winner, folks, let me tell you, like I said before, for $19.99, you get my best play in college football this weekend, where the odds makers made an 8-point mistake. There is a 3-point dog in college football that should be a 5-point favorite. And I'm telling you, folks, I love this game. It's $19.99. And if I don't win this game, you get next week free on me. All you need to do is go over to vegasmistake.com. That's vegasmistake.com, or give us a call at 866-441-2711. And let's talk about this Chargers game. Here's another game or example where you have the Chargers, which were a horrible team last year, and they're now going up against Cincinnati, and they're actually 6-3 this year, and they're going up against a Cincinnati team that has a lot of talent, and they've been underachieving. But let me tell you right now, Joe Burrow is 15-6 against the spread as a road dog in his NFL career, including 5-0 against the spread against teams coming off a straight-up and ATS win. Not only that, Cincinnati is 9-0 against the spread against AFC West opponents, coming off a straight-up win, and 9-2 against the spread after giving up 35 or more points. I like Cincinnati here, getting the point and a half. And also, like I said, folks, I believe Cincinnati is going to win the game outright. But more important, go to vegasmistake.com right now. I have a 3-point underdog in college football that should be a 5-point favorite. You can play the game and you can play the money line. Let's take advantage of this play together, folks. I'm telling you, go to vegasmistake.com. I love this game, and if I lose this game, I'll give you next week for free. It's only $19.99, or give me a call at 866-441-2711. And Pat, thank you so much, and I'll speak to you next week.
Sounds good, Kevin. Thank you very much. That's Kevin Todd, VegasMistake.com. We'll do some Pat Ponders next on 3-Man Front. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of Three Man Front. Pat Smith, Landrum Roberts, Conrad Van Order, Molly Robinson with you. Until 2 o'clock, we'll take you up to the Paul Feinbaum Show. Let me tell you about my good friend Travis Lloyd over at Abide Roofing. Give him a call today, 205-922-7134. We had over 1.5 inches of rain over the last 24 hours, and I saw some of the folks in my neighborhood. They had some debris and stuff on the roof, and that could be a problem. So if you feel like that you've got some damage on your roof or you've got an aging roof, you need to call Travis Lloyd today. That number again, 205-922-7134. I trust them. I recommend them 100%. I had an issue on my roof a couple years ago. I had some hail damage and some storm damage. He came to my house, got on my roof. He checked it out. And then he said, Pat, I hate to tell you, but you're going to have to get a new roof. And so guess what? Not a problem. He got with my insurance company. He was back on the roof for hours talking to the insurance adjuster, got it all taken care of, the paperwork, everything smooth, best materials, the timeline. It was done quickly. It was done efficiently, and it looks fantastic. Abide Roofing can help you today. That's 205-922-7134. Licensed, bonded, insured, and just a true pro in the industry. Call them today and see what kind of shape your roof is in. That's abideroof.com.
5 questions from Pat. We as a group try to answer. This is Pat Ponders.
I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for Pat Ponders.
Brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful. Go by and see them off of exit 32 off of I-459. Question number 1. According to ESPN Analytics, the SEC has a 79% chance to send at least 4 teams to the playoff. If that happens, give me your 4 teams that should make it as of this moment.
No particular order. Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas, Tennessee, I guess. As of this moment, that was the key.
That would be my answer more confidently, but yes, that would be my. I feel like those are the 4. No, I mean, I just.
Do you know
we'll
he's just drafting off of you now? You've gotten into his head.
I know.
It does every answer you give, he's basically agreeing with whatever you say.
Echo.
Okay, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and
It's more
Florida.
like it. That's
my
more.
kind of
That's
playoff.
more, yeah.
That's my playoff right there.
It's a reflection of your picks.
Oh, ho, ho. All right.
How about you, Molly?
I love this beef between the two of you.
There's no beef here.
Oh, okay.
You can smell my beef. That's coming from the winning cart that's ahead of him.
Mm-hmm. Stop while you're ahead, buddy.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I agree. Texas, Ole Miss, Alabama, and probably Tennessee.
So no Georgia. Okay.
Not right now. Beat Tennessee, and that answer changes, though.
Question number 2. In our, as in 3-man front, our never too early coach's hot seat for 2025, Oklahoma's Brent Venables is on our list. Oklahoma administrators this week publicly gave Brent Venables a vote of confidence. Is that the kiss of death, or will Venables be given plenty of time to get the Sooners back?
He will be given another year. Injuries are something that they're citing internally there. With Castiglione and the president, they're going to give him another year. And this is not the time to blow it all up. Plus, he's given himself a little bit of room because he did win double-digit games last season. But next year is put up or shut up time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he's got one more year, and if they look similar next year, I would think they would try to make a move. Because you also have to look at, I mean, I know we had question marks about Jackson Arnold, but you are coming from an era where every quarterback that walked onto campus at Oklahoma was a superstar. And I understand, I'm not saying, maybe there's buyer's remorse with getting Lincoln Riley leaving and bringing in Brent Venables and whatever, but just saying, you're not used to having these kinds of struggles, and I know you're better defensively, but just not going to sit well with Oklahoma fans.
No, I think he'll get another year, at least.
So you think he's good?
I think he's fine.
Next question. Deion Sanders once again said he will be heavily involved in the draft process for both his son Shedeur and his wide receiver cornerback Travis Hunter. Coach Prime said he would intervene against the wrong team, saying, "I will do it privately." Will this help or hurt the draft potential for those two players?
Talent's talent. I don't think it hurts the draft potential. If team's going to want them bad enough, and we've seen it with guys less talented, they're going to be willing to roll the dice. No, I don't think that hurts. They see the upside of both of those guys.
Well, I will also say that, yes, I agree with a lot of what Landrum just said. I also think, in the sense of Shedeur Sanders, unless you are truly convinced that he is the number one quarterback, I could see that being something that maybe makes you look and pivot to, I don't even know who the other quarterbacks would be, because it's not going to be Carson Beck or but you know what I'm saying, like a Cam Ward maybe. Maybe you go, okay, well, if we're not sure about Shedeur, we'll go get Cam Ward. I think Travis Hunter, though, is such a unique prospect that he's not going to matter. I think his talent will carry him wherever. I think Shedeur will be fine as well, but I just think there's maybe more options if you're rolling the dice on a quarterback, whereas Travis Hunter it's very unique to have a number one receiver and cornerback in the same player.
No, yeah, I don't think it'll hurt him either.
Okay. Next question. How interested are you in this weekend's boxing match between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul?
Not at all.
Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being highly interested, 2.
I do not care.
Yeah, there's just so many things I would rather do with my time than support Jake Paul in anything that he does. And I don't know, maybe if Mike Tyson knocks him out, that'd be cool, but no.
You did this in the middle of July, I might be remotely interested. We get this during the pandemic, be interested. You get it during the lull of the football and NFL, ending and getting ready for the UFL schedule. Be more interested, but right now with everything else going on, and no. What about you?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the last time I actually watched a boxing match. Like I legitimately think it might be Mayweather-Pacquiao was the last time I actually sat down and watched.
I'm tired of it coming up as a promo on my Netflix screen. The coming soon. Tired of seeing it. Get the fight over with. Nobody's going to get knocked out. I don't believe. Roy Jones Jr., by the way, that was the fight that we had. Thanks to one of our listeners that I ordered the pay-per-view for. And Tyson, he won it, but they called it a draw, and it was going to charity. And no. I hope Tyson wins, though.
Me too. Maybe he gets the tiger in the ring with him. Never know.
He's got the eye of a tiger.
And a face tattoo.
Well, is that not? He's big into the birds.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. He's big into birds and also cannabis.
Okay.
Two things. Well, never mind.
Fifth and final question. A man in Georgia was arrested for selling fake tickets to over 30 victims, totaling $1.3 million. The tickets included Georgia football games, the Masters, and Taylor Swift tickets.
That's the trifecta right there.
Wow.
What was the last event that you bought a ticket from the secondary ticket market?
This game? Nebraska, USC?
Oh,
yeah.
There you go.
Braves game. Yeah, it would have been a Braves game, whatever the last one we went to.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Is that typically where, when you get your Braves tickets, do you always do the secondary market, or do you? Okay.
Or I get the complimentary through our deal.
Ho ho.
Yeah.
Well, you can do it too.
No, I can't because it's only for winners, and I'm not a winner right now. So I think
your first step.
That's right. I think the.
Where did you get your Oklahoma, Alabama tickets?
Last time. That's a good question. Actually, my stepdad got them through somebody at work.
Okay.
But the last time I can remember doing that would be probably the Alabama USC game, which was a while ago in Jerry World. So, because I mean, a lot of the events I went to, between then it was student tickets and things like that, or just get them through
Alabama. So
yeah, this guy apparently sold $1.3 million worth of fake tickets. All the big ones there in Georgia.
that's pretty good. That's a lot of money. How many? I just want to know how many tickets. 1.3 million.
30 victims.
Ooh.
Sounds like some of them were double dipping.
Georgia football games, the Masters, and Taylor Swift.
Those Masters tickets didn't work out, honey. But I swear, this guy, he has pit seats for Taylor Swift.
$50,000. It seems like a lot for a Swiftie concert, but we get to hang out with her.
That's how much they cost, some of them.
Kelsey. Ride on the private jet. Dinner.
Gonna wire in the money now. The tickets are in an envelope under this bush outside the arena. I swear we're gonna find them. Like that's an impressive con. Like
1.3 million.
Whew.
And 30 people.
It's the worst thing I've seen.
Also, if it works out, I have got a Nairobian princess that has agreed online to give me her fortune if I'll just make the down payment of $20,000 to float her. Sounds like a really good deal.
It does.
That is today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful. Visit them online at courtesybirmingham.com.
We got text that we will get to 205-834-9450. We continue three-man front and jocks, 94.5. Three-man front here on a Thursday. We do have NFL Thursday Night Football right here on Jocks 94.5. But first, at 6 p.m., you get the Coach Bill Clark Show. That will air. Pat, myself, and Coach Clark breaking down the game. Some interesting perspectives, not only from Alabama in Baton Rouge, but moving forward, and Georgia and Tennessee. You don't want to miss that. Coach Bill Clark coming up tonight, 6 o'clock. And following that will be the NFL at Jocks with a kickoff between the Eagles and the Commanders at 7:15.
Well, we just talked about it a few moments ago, but an event that some of you might be interested in takes place tomorrow night, and you can watch it at Twin Peaks in Hoover. We are talking about the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight. It is the most anticipated exhibition boxing event in the history of the sport. Don't miss this wonderful event at Twin Peaks in Hoover tomorrow night. Get your corner together. Get your axe to the lodge tomorrow, November 15th, and witness Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson live from the best sports bar in the game. That's Twin Peaks right over there in Hoover.
Text coming in 205-834-9450. A lot of response on the college football playoff possible scenarios, the SEC conference race as well. Dwayne says, how much of an advantage is it for those schools? Unlike the NFL, they don't play in December, so haven't played in snow much anyways. Talking about potential home sites, and if Penn State were to host a game in Happy Valley versus, say, an Ole Miss, is that an advantage to this team based out of the North? Or would that be not significant in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think that would be big for a Southeastern Conference team to go up north to play in Happy Valley or Columbus.
Especially if it's snowing.
Lincoln. I'm sorry, I just threw that in there trying to.
I think snow's probably tough on everyone. And recruiting has gotten so national, and now with the transfer portal, you have that mix of guys that hail from the South or guys that hail from the Midwest or the North. I don't know how much of a difference it actually makes. Plus, with all the clothing technology we have these days.
That's true.
Maybe make it a little bit easier.
Take those hand warmers.
Yes. Steve says, how about this? NFL Middle East location, Dubai.
I feel like that would be the
I
one.
think that probably would be the location, most likely.
People would go out for that. And the parties afterwards.
Yeah, you got to
Maybe
be careful
more so.
there. You can still get reported, but they do have alcohol. But if somebody reports you that you were publicly intoxicated, I think that has different ramifications.
Probably good not to get in legal trouble in a foreign country.
Yeah. David in Pelham says, Conrad just can't ever take those damn crimson glasses off. 7-5, LOL. Auburn with Cam Ward.
I mean,
true. Very good point.
That's fair. I'd be interested to know what he thinks their record would be.
Obviously better than 7-5.
Well,
Brazil. It's a big no. The players couldn't even leave the hotel in Brazil because of the crime. On the potential of a tiebreaker in the SEC, would it not be easier, ask this one listener, just to go back to divisions, Pat? It would be.
if we did that, I would want you to mix up the divisions.
Yeah.
Don't give us the same ones we've had.
Right. I mean, they should have fixed it before. Missouri should have been in the West.
I was about to say, don't do East and West. Just do, I don't know, something else.
Legends and leaders.
There we go.
Like the Big Ten.
Perfect.
That was a nightmare.
Drake says, or asks, can Florida beat LSU with DJ Lagway? I think they can.
I think they can if he plays.
Mm-hmm. And it depends on how limited he is with that hamstring.
Do you think they're holding him out just to make sure, just to 1,000% make sure that they beat Florida State?
I hadn't thought about that, but
I mean, could they be holding him out? Because there's no way the worst season in the history of Florida State football.
Yeah, you can't lose to them.
You cannot lose to them.
No.
Because any thought of bringing Napier back.
Yeah, it's out the window if you lose that game.
Yeah. So do you hold him off to make sure that he is 100% healthy just to make sure that you win the Seminole game?
Maybe.
I know what I do.
That's one of those things that no one would ever publicly admit, but we could all look at and go,
I think you could beat Florida State with Graham Mertz and a brace.
that Warner kid, I feel bad for him. He's not ready. He is not ready. They need Lagway back real bad.
Tommy asks, why does an exhibition fight need a weigh-in?
That's a great question.
Bama Hater reminds us, please put Bama and Georgia in with 4 losses.
4 losses? Wow.
Well, that's not going to
The
happen.
SEC, according to Bama Hater, superior entitlement conference.
Yeah, about sums it up.
That's fair. But when you've won as many championships as they have, you get to be entitled.
How well would the cheerleaders' outfits go over in the Middle East? Luke asked the question. Molly?
Probably not well.
That would be a problem.
Good old days. That was just the male yell leaders. They still do that at College Station.
I was about to say, are you talking about something you used to wear?
No.
Okay.
And somebody has sent me something that apparently I clicked on and shouldn't have. All righty.
Oh, is it the link from those Mattel Barbie dolls?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's not. And another compliment for Brett Norsworthy joining us, saying that Brett is this particular listener's favorite guest that joins us here on the show. Any of that you can find there at JocksFM.com and the 3-Man Front podcast. Download the Jocks 94.5 app, and we also appreciate our listeners in North Alabama, they're in Montgomery, but also our viewers on YouTube, Jocks TV. Just search Jocks 945 TV. You can find it YouTube and multiple platforms.
FSU Dave just texted into the show. You guys just can't not pick on us, can you? Exclamation point.
Well, no, when are we ever going to have this chance again? I mean, maybe next year, but sorry, Dave.
Yeah, tough season. Not even tough
I wasn't
season.
picking on him. I was just stating the fact
Pat
that
did
I
bring it up.
No, the reason why is because if you're Billy Napier and you think that you're going to wiggle out of this and you're going to have an opportunity to come back next year, you cannot lose to the worst Florida State team in the history of Florida State football. That can't happen.
I agree.
So just say, hey, Lagway, just take it easy. Just ease into it.
How great is it if you're Mike Norvell, though? Knowing that they owe you millions of dollars. How much is he getting paid per win this year?
$10 million as of right now.
Yeah, I can even do that math.
I just wanted to hear you say it, and that was for FSU Dave's benefit. We appreciate all of you joining us today. Check out the podcast. We love you, Dave. Come on, man. Pick up that spear. Get on that horse. Molly, have fun.